So he's like, I said, I'm going to get on you. And I said, I'm going to go to springboard off the ropes and jump on you. And you fucking come flying and you spear me midair. He's like, God dang. He goes, I'm going to fucking kill you. I said, I know. It's going to be awesome.
Hey, what's going on, guys? My name's Mr. 55. I'm Jack Wallace, and welcome to the 55 Live podcast in conjunction with the WZWA Network. I'm here with my co-host, Karlifornia, and we've got a special guest here today, former WCW superstar, Allan Funk, otherwise known as Kwee Wee. Allan, how are you doing, man?
It's Karlifornia, though.
That's my name is Karlifornia. Yeah, that's my old wrestling name when I did wrestle. But yeah, how you going today, Allan?
Nah, shoot, I'm doing pretty good, man. After we got these technical difficulties out of the way, I was sitting here with my thumb up my butt trying to figure it
out. Zoom is a bit of a head case, man. There's always issues with these sorts of programs, but I'm glad that we did get to the bottom of it fairly quickly, and now we're here actually chatting with you and hanging out tonight. So, well, today or this morning, where you are. So, Allan, where are you located at the moment?
I'm in Atlanta, Georgia right now. I've been down here for about 21 years.
Awesome, man. Are you enjoying it over there? How's everything been with the craziness in the world right now?
Yeah, I tell you, I woke up with a bunch of crap, man. So, I mean, I don't really have an opinion on it because I'll probably piss a lot of people off what I got to say about it. But it's they just pretty much destroyed downtown Atlanta, so that kind of sucks.
Yeah, man. We won't touch too much on all that stuff. It's that's not what we're here to talk about. We don't talk about the fun stuff, the positive stuff. No, none of this stuff that we see all over the media and social media today in this day and age, man. So I wanted to sort of go through sort of your road to becoming a wrestler and how you got that sort of wrestling bug that pretty much every wrestler sort of contains inside them. Were you a wrestling fan growing up?
Well, yes. I don't know. Can you guys see that right there behind me? That is Hulk Hogan's actual shirt from the second annual Survivor Series. That was in Richfield, Ohio. I'm originally from Ohio, so I started, I was a wrestling fan, obviously, growing up, and Hulk Hogan was my dude. So actually, I caught this shirt when I was a senior in high school when he ripped it off going to the ring, which was awesome. And then flash forward to, 25 years later, when I'm working with him in WCW, he actually signed it for me. You can't really see it, but the autograph is right there.
Yeah.
It says to Allan, stay strong and kayfabe Hulk Hogan. So that was kind of, pretty big moment in my life, growing up, idolizing him in the wrestling industry and then getting to work with him. Never wrestling him, of course, but, it was in the same locker room with him and hung out, and he was always a cool guy.
That would have been an awesome experience, man, being in the same locker room and sharing that that sort of that brotherhood that the locker room shared, especially with someone that you watched your whole life. And there you go, you've even got the Hulk rules, the shirt behind you that you caught at Survivor Series. How was that moment catching that? How old were you when you caught that shirt?
I was 17 years old. I was a senior in high school, and I'm from Alliance, Ohio, which is roughly about an hour from Cleveland. So I drove up there. And it's on Thanksgiving Day, so none of my buddies were allowed to go with me. So I drove up there by myself, and I didn't get a ticket till I got, to the arena. And so then when I bought the ticket, since I was only needed one ticket, they had a ringside seat actually. So I got a ringside seat, and that's what put. And I kept telling everybody the whole week, I'm going to get a shirt. I'm going to catch a shirt. I don't care what I got to do. I'm going to catch it. So I was just following him around the ring, and then when he ripped it off, I just kept running around trying to follow him. And then when I caught it, I was actually me and another guy had our hands on it, and he was fighting, and I actually got some blood on it from us tangling. I don't know if somebody ripped their finger or what. And then after I got the shirt, I put it down my pants so nobody could take it, because I was kind of a little scrawny kid, because I was afraid somebody was going to whoop my ass and take the shirt from me.
I wouldn't believe you were a scrawny kid, man, because of how jacked that you were. Like, well, when you got to WCW and you were in the final days of WCW, man, you were in some pretty good shape over the years, man.
Still good shape right now.
Yeah, I'm 49 years old. I'm still hanging, banging. But I always took my physique. I wasn't the tallest guy, so I always tried to be built pretty good, and I took it pretty serious. Paul Orndorff took a liking to me for my body. which is understandable because he was incredibly shaped, and he was one of my mentors coming up in WCW. So, you know, as long as I impressed Paul, I pretty much kept my job.
Awesome, man. So that night at Survivor Series, when you were sort of following Hulk around the ring, did you already know that by that point wrestling was sort of what you wanted to sort of aim for in the future, or was it something that just sort of
Yeah, man, that's all I ever wanted to do. You know, I grew up kind of, I wouldn't say poor, but, you know, my family didn't have any money. So my dad told me at a young age that he couldn't afford for me to go to college. So, you know, I had to try to, you know, make my dream come true, you know?
Yeah, man, of course. And, you know, we obviously went through the WCW Power Plant at the time. Was that your first real experience in professional wrestling?
No, I started independent wrestling in Ohio with my best friend's brother. His name was Greg Anderson. We formed a tag team. It was called Terminal Punishment. My name was Vitor, and his was the Rogue, and we were just known as Terminal Punishment. And we did a lot of indies up in Ohio, West Virginia, you know, Pittsburgh area. So that's how I got started in wrestling. When I came to the Power Plant, I never told them I had any experience because I didn't want to get treated any different than any other guys going through there, which looking back on it was kind of a mistake on my part, but I just didn't want to get treated any different than the rest of the guys.
Of course. It seemed like a very, yeah, sorry, go on, Carl.
Oh, sorry. I just wanted to ask if you had to do a tryout to be accepted into the Power Plant.
I did. You had to go down there to the Power Plant. They had, I don't know if you guys remember old school wrestler, Pistol Pez Watley.
Nah.
No, sorry.
That guy, he back in the NWA days, he was pretty popular, man. If you ever get a chance to look him up, he actually passed away. I think he had a heart attack or something, but Pez, man, he was a great guy. There was Sergeant Buddy Lee Parker. I don't know if you get that. We're going back old school. You guys probably, how old are you guys? 21, 20?
I'm actually 33, so that's a huge compliment. Thanks, Allan.
I got you. Well, I'm 49. People say I don't look like I'm 49, but other people say I look like I'm 69. So I don't know where to go.
What was the tryout like when you did the tryout?
Oh, dude,
that must have been crazy.
I want to say I had to pay $200 or $250, whatever. So I had to fly down to Atlanta. I had to get my own rent a car and hotel, and it was supposedly a 3-day tryout. Hundreds and hundreds of guys that tried out for this place. And I don't know if you've watched the history of pro wrestling and all them, those horror stories you saw, like on some of the shows at the time were doing like Joan London come down there and a few other, you know, like I said, the history of pro wrestling, it's on that. And if you watch that video, the brutality of the WCW Power Plant was actually it looked bad on TV, but it was worse when you were actually going through it. You do 500 squats, you know, Hindu squats a day. They'd kick your ass. There was actually a guy that shit his pants trying to crawl to the door. They kept grabbing him by his feet and dragging him back in. There was a wrestler down there named Chase Tatum that actually speared somebody through a wall.
Whew.
He actually speared the guy, and they went through a wall. Luckily, they didn't hit the 2x4s. You know, they went right through the drywall, which, you know, nobody got hurt. But, I mean, you just pretty much got your ass kicked. I broke my nose during my tryout. 3 days, there was probably 17 guys, I believe, 17 to 20 guys that started the first day I was there. By the end of the shit, within a couple hours, there was only 3 of us left. That's how bad it was. And then towards the end, I was the only guy that made it. But, you know, they want to see if you got heart. They want to try to make you quit. They want to do things that try to break you. And we had guys come through there that were in boot camp for Marines, Army. They said they'd rather go through boot camp than go through that again for 3 days.
Wow. I mean, I've heard a lot of stories about Sergeant Buddy Lee Parker. Obviously, that's why he's called Sarge, because he's almost like a drill sergeant.
He was worse.
What was your relationship like with him during those times when you were just starting out there? You know, obviously he's very tough.
Well, I'm sure I speak for all the guys that went through there, and all the guys that made it through there when I was there was like, obviously I wasn't in the same class that he was in, but I don't know. You remember Chuck Palumbo? He went through it.
Yeah.
Yep.
There was John Huger, which is Johnny Stamboli, the Bull. Let's see who else. Sonny Siaki actually went through it. He was in TNA. He never went to WWE. You had Elix Skipper. Probably going to forget a couple of guys. Rick Cornell, which was Reno. He was in the Natural Born Thrillers. Mike Sanders as well. He was the leader of the Natural Born Thrillers. We all pretty much had the same relationship with Sarge. We loved him and we hated him. he was just doing his job. But man, I tell you what, even after we got through the power plant, and then Paul Orndorff come down and took it over, and then we moved to the new facility WCW opened up, and every day, man, we had to be there at 8 o'clock. They kicked our asses. It was kind of like a dojo, and Paul wanted to make it kind of like a Japanese dojo where, you'd have to mop the floors, sweep the ring, sanitize it. You had to, do everything the young boys used to do over in Japan, which probably still do. But, it was a boot camp atmosphere, and you got your ass kicked every day, and it wasn't a joke.
Another question that I had, now that you speak of that, is what would be the typical day-to-day routine be as someone at the power plant? Did you have a job on the side and you had to also fit that in as well, or were you there from 8 o'clock in the morning until the late afternoon?
Yeah, at the old power plant where I first started, it was a shithole. I mean, there was rats in there, bugs. I mean, it was a dirty, filthy place. And then they had 4 rings set up in like an old warehouse. It was just dirty and dusty. And then once Paul Orndorff took it over and we moved it into the main WCW offices, and that's basically where all the all the secretaries and lawyers and all that, and J.J. Dillon, Paul Orndorff, everybody had an office over there. It was real clean. It was first class facility. I don't know if you've seen pictures of it online.
Yeah.
They had 4 rings set up, huge place, real clean. We kept it clean, had a great weight room, had a locker room upstairs, showers, whereas the old place had like one shower, and it was, you were afraid to take a shower in there. You thought you'd get a lockjaw or some shit,
So you'd be there all day, basically.
Yeah, well, down at the old power plant, most of us had jobs because we didn't have a contract at that point. Once Paul Orndorff came in, we had to actually match up. They matched us up with people. I got a match with, I think, Elig Skipper, and we wrestled a tag team match against Kid Romeo, and I can't remember who else. And it was pretty brutal, man. You'd sit there in front of like Jimmy Hart, Paul Orndorff, Sarge, and then, a few other office people. And if you didn't have a good match, they tell you to hit the door, man. I mean, it was pretty brutal. And if you had a good match, you're kind of like, shit, I don't know if that was good or bad or whatever. And, you don't have an audience. You're trying to put on a good match in front of people. It was a real tense situation. A lot of guys couldn't handle that situation. But, the guys that did make it, like the Chuck Palombos, me, Reno, Mike Sanders, and John Huger and Elig Skipper, the guys that made it, they offered us contract. Then we moved to the new facility, so we had a contract, so we didn't have to have a job. That wasn't our job.
That's awesome.
Right.
It must have made things a lot easier for you.
Oh man, it took a lot of stress off you, that's for sure.
What job did you have whilst you were there?
When I first moved to Atlanta, I met a guy in the gym. He was he did these parties where they'd set up like casino nights and stuff. And they had real elaborate props and stuff where they'd set up, like if you wanted a Mardi Gras theme, you go in there with all these props and set all these parties up. I was doing that for a while. And then I got a few of the wrestlers' jobs there, like Rick Cornell, Mike Sanders, a couple of other independent wrestlers. We all worked there. So, we were kind of in our little college dorm working our nighttime job while we were still trying to figure it out.
Right. Jack, what have you got next?
So, upon graduating from the WCW Power Plant, is it typical that most of the guys do end up sort of debuting on Saturday night before going to anywhere else in the WCW realm?
Yeah, they had all of us pretty much wrestling each other on Saturday night. The first Saturday night match I had, I remember, I think Kevin Sullivan and Kevin Nash had a big part in who was going to be on the TV shows then. So I remember Kevin coming into the power plant, he was looking at me and Kid Romeo. So we put on a little match for Kevin, and he was pretty impressed by it. So the next week we were on the WCW Saturday night tapings, which was on Wednesday nights at that time.
Yep.
And they would do 2 weeks of taping on one night. So if you did 2 matches in one night, you'd be on the TV show, for the next 2 weeks. So that's pretty much how they had us doing it. So, there'd be 100 matches that night, which was ridiculous. And they would just go through matches after matches after matches. So me and Kid Romeo went, I remember it was in Roanoke, Virginia was the first time I wrestled on a Saturday night. And we had a pretty good match. And then they had us come out a second time and we had another match. And then that way we were on TV both Saturdays.
Yep. And
that's how we started. And then pretty much, they had us wrestling all the guys in the power plant just to get experience.
No, that would have been
I
good.
would, sorry, Jack.
Oh,
I just wanted to throw this in there. I've actually pretty much seen every episode of WCW Saturday Night. And I just wanted to say, I did notice that at one stage, it went from being what it had been to all of a sudden, at least an hour's worth of the show had literally Mark Jindrak, Chuck Palumbo, Rick Cornell, Johnny the Bull, yourself, Elix Skipper, Jamie Noble. Everyone just all of a sudden there was this massive influx. Do you remember that time and how like all of a sudden you guys were all now going to be on TV and I guess it must have been exciting for all of you after all the training you'd done.
Oh yeah, I remember it well. The only bad part about that was they pretty much treated us like, I'll be honest with you, man, they treated us pretty bad. My first contract in WCW, man, I was getting like 37,000 a year, like $500. I'm trying to think. We got paid $500 like every 2 weeks. They paid us like once or twice a month. You got paid like on the 1st and the 15th, I think it was. And we'd get like $1,000 check, and we thought we were something, big deal.
Yeah.
But luckily, my ex-wife was a nurse, so she made all the money, so I could continue to do what I like to do, But we didn't really make any money. And then when we did start making money in our contracts was we got paid, like me and Sonny Siaki, for example. I remember me and him made the same. I'm not too sure about the other guys. But we would go and WCW would send us up to, I don't know if you remember a guy with the USWA, his name was Burt Prentice. Some old school people might know who he was, but he was running the territory up in Nashville. And so out of Nashville, we'd drive up there sometimes on Thursday nights. We'd wrestle Thursday night. We'd wrestle Friday night, Saturday, sometimes twice on Saturday, sometimes twice on Sunday, depending on what season it was. Sometimes we do fairground shows and stuff where we'd be outside in the ring. So then we start in our contract stated we got paid $500 a match. Well, then WCW started paying us $500 for every one of those independent matches. And then here Paul Wondorf comes in. He's like, this is fucking bullshit. You fucking kids are making $500 a match. And, that's a shoot, kid. That ain't how it was when I was coming up. We'd be lucky to get $20 a match, and this is a bunch of bullshit. So they quit paying us. Well, they didn't quit paying us. It was in our contract, so they had to pay us. So they quit sending us up there. And, at some points I'd make, $3,000-$4,000 a week, which ain't bad money.
Yeah, shit.
But they put a kibosh on that real quick.
That sounds so unfair, man. Like just being able to make that sort of money, doing something you love, and then someone's just gonna come ruin that. I would have been.
Yeah, right. Like I tell people see me nowadays, and once in a while I'll still get recognized by fans that are hardcore wrestling fans, and they're like, "Oh man, what are you doing this?" Or or you must be a millionaire. But I've never. I've always been pretty honest with everything. My biggest year in WCW, now I'm doing Nitro, I'm doing Thunder, I'm doing the Saturday night show twice. I'm wrestling twice every other Wednesday, so I can be on both Saturday TVs. I'm barely making $75,000 a year, and I'm paying for my own hotels, I'm paying for my own rent a cars. You got to eat on the road. You're on the road 4 or 5 days a week. Back then, shit, I ain't making no money. Everybody thought I was a damn millionaire just because I was on TV 3 days a week. You know what I mean?
You would have had to been so strict with your money back then as well. Like when you talk about, were you paying for your own flights as well? So on top of
no, we didn't have to pay for the flights. They pay for the flights, but then you'd have like me, Kid Romeo, Chuck Palumbo, all the guys that Mark Jindrak, all these guys. We'd all travel like in the same car. We try to get as many people as we could in the same car to drive up to Nashville because from Atlanta that's 3.5 hour drive. Then we'd have to drive to Kentucky and this and that, and then we all try to save money. We'd all there'd be 5-6 of us staying in a hotel room just so we didn't have to spend the money.
Man,
during that time period, you're obviously getting real tight with those guys from the power plant. Firstly, like who were you closest with, and what would you say would be some your fondest memories of the time that you had with those guys?
I was close with all those guys, and I forgot to mention Sean O'Hare was also in that group. But he I don't know, you guys remember Sean O'Hare?
Yeah.
Yep.
He was in WWE as well. Sean hung himself a couple years ago. I don't know if you guys remember that, but me terrible. And Sean used to hang out quite a bit. Me and Mike Sanders, and he's still in Atlanta. him and I we'll still talk, and we still, you know, meet up for dinner. We'll hang out every now and then. I'm real good friends with Rick Cornell. I talk to him a lot on the phone. He's out in Vegas. But me and Mike Sanders, I got more stories probably with Mike Sanders than I do the rest of them, just because he'd be in Atlanta, and you know, the other guys were coming from other places, and we'd always ride together or something. But I remember this one story. We were out in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and that morning. We went to the police station, and we did some PR stuff. And, you know, anytime I could do PR stuff, I always did it just to try to get a little bit of notoriety and so people would know who I was. So we go to jail. We're signing autographs, 8x10s for all these cops and stuff. So it's a small town, so we pretty much meet all the cops in the town. So then we go to the arena that night and we're wrestling. So me and Mike Sanders were pretty good friends with Kevin Nash. I used to travel with Kevin a little bit too. And so we leave town. We're driving to Arizona, and I can't remember what town we were going to, but it wasn't that far of a drive. Everybody else was getting on the airplane. The WCW sometimes would charter a flight, and everybody'd be on the airplane, and then you wouldn't have to pay for it. You just get on it. So a lot of these guys were getting on a charter flight, which by the time you get your bags and shit in there and you wait to take off and land, we already drove there faster than they got there. We were already in the hotel eating before the plane even landed. So we're driving down the road, and we're going out of Albuquerque. But here we see Kevin Nash, and you remember the Nitro girl Shay, the Oriental chick?
How could you forget her?
She was with Kevin, and then there was a PR guy, the same guy we went to the police station with that day. So we're driving. I'm driving. I told Mike, I said, I'm going to pass Kevin, act like you're giving me a blowjob. So he put his head in my lap, and I grabbed his head, and I'm like, oh, you know, and I'm driving, and I'm acting like I'm relaxed. And I pull up next to Kevin, and I look, I'm like, oh, shit. And I grab Mike's head and pull it up. Well, Kevin, they're dying laughing. Well, then there's a cop behind us that I didn't know. He turns on his lights and pulls me over. Kevin's like, oh, shit, he took off. He was fucking laughing his ass off. So then the cop pulls us over. As soon as he pulls us over, he looks at me and Mike and said, holy shit, I met you guys today at the police station. I said, we're just having fun with Kevin over here. And he's like, and we were going pretty fast. So he just told us to slow down and, you know, chill out. And, he let us go. So it was a pretty funny story.
It's a great story.
That's an awesome story, man. I love hearing just like people, anything to do with just Kevin Nash, man. Like, he just seems like such a fun and awesome guy. Just sort of, you know, really sort of gets around those sorts of jokes and people just playing those sorts of.
Yeah, I got another good Kevin Nash story. His mother-in-law, which I didn't know, lived across the street from me and my ex-wife. So he used to bring his kid over there for his mother-in-law to babysit him or whatever, right? So I was out in the yard, and at this time I'm doing like WCW Saturday night, and I started doing TV. So, you know, if you're out in the yard, you don't want to, you wear the little freaking underwear tights. You don't want to get tan lines, right? Yeah. So I had my little Daisy Duke shorts on outside doing lawn work, and I'm bent over in the flower bed. And I had longer hair then. So here comes Kevin Nash. He's pulling up the road, and he sees me bent over. He's like, damn, that's a nice ass. He thought I was a woman. And so then I started traveling with him, and then he asked me one night, he goes, hey, man, let me ask you a question. I said, what's up? He goes, do you own any shorts that belong to a man? I said, what do you mean? He goes, man, I remember the first time I saw you were bent over outside with these little Daisy Dukes on. I was like, man, that's a nice ass. So, he used to come over to my house and had his, you ever seen them little, the Incredible Hulk, the big green hands?
Yeah. I used to have, my best man as a kid used to have one, the big giant one that used to make the sounds as you hit it.
Yeah. He used to come over to my house and beat on the front door, and my Doberman would be going crazy, and he'd be out there with his damn Incredible Hulk hands hitting my door. Yeah, Kevin was always a cool guy, man. He's a cool guy.
No, Kevin seems absolutely awesome, man. I'm a massive fan of his work, and even bigger fan of seemed to be a massive. Let me actually speak. Seemed to be a bigger fan of him even as a person. Like, just seems so awesome.
Yeah, he was always cool.
Talking about more fun memories during the early days of your WCW run, was there any other notable characters that you actually got to ride with and have any sort of fun times with?
Yeah, you know, it was kind of funny. Right before he died, I actually became pretty good friends with Rick Rude. He'd be at the power plant, the old power plant, all the time, and I guess he was good friends with Paul, so he came down there. He just wanted to get back in ring shape, and they were trying to get him back on TV. And I don't know, for some reason, him and I just kind of clicked, and we'd sit there and talk for hours. And, you know, it was kind of sad when he passed away. I remember Paul coming in there and saying, hey, man, Rick passed away this weekend. And we were like, oh, shit. And, you know, I just started becoming pretty good friends with him. So it kind of, you know, really set me for a loop at that time.
Yeah, I remember watching a Sean Waltman interview where he was talking about Rick Rude. He's seemed like a real man's man, like he would knock people out with an open hand to the face kind of thing. Those are the stories that I've heard about Rick Rude.
Yeah, I've actually heard the same stories. You know, sometimes he would talk about stuff like that. He was definitely a man's man. You could tell he didn't really put up with too much shit either.
How could he not be a man's man with that like legendary mustache that he had?
Yeah, no shit. Yeah, you got to be a man to wear a mustache like that.
You wanted to talk about the sort of development of the Kwee Wee character, which
Hang on, Jack. We've missed something here.
What did we miss?
We've missed something. We've missed.
Did we miss something?
Yeah, it's the part where WCW Saturday Night got cancelled.
Yes, you're right.
So I'll take it. So where I'm at with my chronological viewing of WCW, there's about 3 episodes of Saturday Night remaining. When you found out Saturday Night was going to get cancelled, were you and some of the other Power Plant graduates a bit worried about your spot now that TV time had now lost about an hour and a half's worth of TV time? Are we worried about your spot? And, you know, yeah, that's pretty much the question.
I don't know if I'm pretty sure the rest of the guys would say the same thing I'm going to say. It really didn't affect us much. We were upset we weren't going to be on, you know, another couple spots during the week, but we were all getting more and more TV time on Nitro and Thunder, so I don't really think too much of us worried too much about the Saturday Night show.
Fair enough, Jack.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to sort of just bring up the development of the Kwee Wee character, which arguably would have been, would you say that would have been your most sort of successful run in your professional wrestling career as Kwee Wee in WCW?
Yeah. How that started was, well, when I was Angry Allan on a Saturday Night show, and they were giving me some pretty good TV time. So Mike Sanders got released about this point, and then they brought him back. And then when they brought him back, they brought him back on Saturday night. So then him and I were doing a tag team. I don't know if you remember the tag team Mike and I were doing. It was called we called ourselves the WA team.
Yeah.
If you go on YouTube, you can look at a couple of them. Well, we came out the first time me and Mike did that was when he come back after getting released, and they were just going to pay him per, appearance. So, and this actually helped Mike get his job back. So we go out there, and I'm on the mic. I'm pretty vocal. Everybody always says I have anger issues, so that's why they were calling me Angry Allan Funk, because I get pretty angry at times. And that's a shoot, legit. And so, they figured, screw it. And I love doing the Angry Allan character because that's kind of what I want to do. It's kind of like a Benoit in your face character, And I always liked Benoit wrestling, so I tried to, do some things he would do, just aggressive-wise, and Paul Orndorff as well. So we go out there and we announce ourselves as the AA team because I'm Angry Allan, he's above average. So, AA. So then we said it only takes 2 of us to do what it took 4 of you guys to do, and we didn't even need a horse. So, I kind of got nervous because me and Mike were like, you think we ought to say that? Because Arn's one of the age, and Arn Anderson, he's a 4 horseman. So we're like, shit, Arn might get pissed off. And I said, yeah, but listen. I said, whenever you hear about controversial shit, it always stands out. And I said, if Arn gets pissed and he wants to fucking beat us up backstage, think about the fucking publicity we're going to get. So
Correct.
To go out there and do it. You know what I'm saying? So I'll be honest with you, I wasn't nervous about doing it because I'm an up and coming guy, and I'm afraid to step on some toes. But I said, shit, you got to ruffle some feathers to get noticed.
Exactly.
So we went out there and did that, and we come out after the match. We come down the ring, and we're going down the aisle. Who's standing right behind the curtain? Arn Anderson waiting on us.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. So I walk. I look at Mike. We're walking back there. Arn looks at me, and he gives me a hug and goes, "That was fucking awesome." I was like, "Oh, man!" I was like, "Shit!" I thought me and him were gonna fight. But, not that Arn whooped my ass, but I'd hate to whip that old man's ass at that point.
Ooh, big call.
But I got another story with Arn Anderson, but I even forget the damn question now.
Oh,
it was just the development of the Kwee Wee character itself.
Oh, yeah, okay. So leading up to me and Mike being together all the time, we're wrestling as a AA team. So we're in West Virginia. We just got done doing a Saturday night. So we're in the airport. Well, Terry Taylor and Vince Russo is sitting in the airport, and I got my hair spiked up. Like, you remember how the Kwee Wee character had his hair spiked up?
Yeah.
So I literally wore my hair like that anyway. So I'm walking to the airport with my hair up like that, and they're looking at me, Terry Taylor, and Vince is like, what the fuck? Do you actually wear your hair like that? So, you know, it stood out, and they're like, man, we got an idea for you. We want to run it by you. You know, we'll talk to you at Nitro. So, you know, I go to Nitro and stuff, and Vince runs this idea by me. Well, they started calling me Kwee Wee, but there was a character on Saturday Night Live that Chris Kattan did. He was the Mango, I think it was called. And his brother, I think it was David Spade, I want to say, and his name was Kwee Wee on there. Well, they started using Kwee Wee, and Saturday Night Live was going to sue them for the name infringement, so they just changed it to Kwee Wee with a W. So that's how that started. And then, you know, it just kind of evolved. He wanted me to start out as the wardrobe guy backstage. And I had her name at the time, I think it was Papaya. She was BB, Barbara Bush in WWE.
Yeah.
You remember Kathy Dingman? Yeah, her and I are really still good friends. We text every day and stuff. We talk all the time on the phone. But it's kind of funny how that worked out, because that's the first time I ever met her that night that we did pretty much the Kwee Wee character. And they flew her in because she wasn't working for WWE anymore, and I guess she knew somebody. And so then, you know, it kind of evolved from there. She was only with me for a couple of weeks, and then they got rid of her, and they had some stripper from Pittsburgh come in. And this story here pissed my wife off, because my ex-wife. So they bring the stripper in that, remember Mark Madden, the announcer?
Yeah.
She was a stripper from Pittsburgh that he met at the strip club, I guess. So, you know, in wrestling, nothing ever freaking amazes me. So I guess he meets his damn stripper with huge tits, real skinny girl. And I mean, her tits were bigger than her body. So they had me carrying her to the ring, making out with her all the way to the ring. So my ex-wife didn't watch the show that night, but of course I recorded it, because I always wanted, you know, critique myself afterwards.
Of course.
And so my ex-wife worked in a surgery department, and she was always in open heart surgery with these doctors, and they always watched me wrestle. And so I always told the doctors they need to watch me wrestle. At the next party, I was going to beat their ass. So they always watched the wrestling show. And so the doctor, they're in surgery the next day, you know, Tuesday morning. And the doctors are all like, oh, holy shit, did you see what Allan did last night on Nitro? And, you know, and my wife's like, no, what happened? And they're like, holy shit, he was making out with this big titty woman all the way to the ring with tongue and everything. And my ex-wife, she went home and watched the tape, and then I was on the road. She called me and said, I fucking threw all your shit out in the front yard. You need to come and get it.
Oh, shit.
So, you know, she was pissed off about that, but, you know. So then the Kwee Wee character, they kind of got rid of the women for a minute, and then I had Paisley, which was with Prince Iakea. She was with me, which Paisley's awesome. She was a great on the mic. And as Kwee Wee, I really didn't feel comfortable talking about it, because they kind of wanted me to be gay, but not really. And I just, to me, I'm not good at, I don't, just myself, I don't know. I don't think I'm good at, I don't have that little hiss or whatever, like gay guys when they talk, that they want you to have. And I'm not good at it. I didn't ever think I was, so I never wanted to talk, which it was good to have Paisley, because she was a great talker on the mic.
I wanted to ask about Papaya, who's your good friend. Yeah, apparently she was only there for 2 episodes, and she was supposed to be your on-screen wife, or maybe just valet. Yeah. Do you know why she was only there for such a short time?
Man, I tell you what, bro, your guess is as good as mine. Some of the things WCW did at the time is like everybody always says is the reason they folded so fast, because they didn't really have any idea what the hell they wanted to do. They would do something, and then the next week it'd be like they never done it, and it's like, you know, they didn't have any reasoning behind anything they did. So, I mean, it probably just somebody said, "Oh yeah, let's bring her in," and somebody said, we ain't gonna pay her to come in this week, or you know,
right,
who knows what it was. It wasn't nothing personal, I'm sure. It's just they had no idea what direction they were going.
I guess it's just it's 2000 WCW. That's probably the answer.
Yeah, dude. I tell you what, backstage, some of the stuff you'd see was brutal. Like, I don't know if you remember, like Bash at the Beach when Jarrett came out and just
all
that bullshit with Hogan and stuff, didn't want to lose. Like, I can't believe you have a pay-per-view and you're running a company. These wrestlers are working for you. They're under contract. And that's the only thing I didn't agree with Hogan. Like, he never wanted to lose. People said I never got to wrestle with him, so I'm actually glad because of that, because I never would have been able to do anything. And I always compare that to when I wrestled over in Japan with you know who the Great Muta is, right?
Of course.
Well, the Great Muta, man, over in Japan, he's bigger than Hulk Hogan ever was in the States. Yeah. I actually wrestled Muta, and you know what Muta told me? All the guys were like, man, you wrestle Muta tonight. I said, are you fucking serious? Like, I was like, yeah, man, this is awesome. I'm wrestling Muta in Japan. you know. I go backstage, I'm kind of nervous, man. I'm wrestling the greatest damn wrestler in Japan ever. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Like he can't even walk down the street. He's so big. That's how big that guy is over there. And so I go back in the locker room, and I always tell people this story because it kind of, if I wrestled Hogan over in the States, it'd probably go like this. Hey, kid, you know, I'm going to do that. You're not getting shit. I'm going to give you the leg drop, and you can fucking kiss my ass. Boom, boom, boom. You know, that's what we're going to do, kid.
Perfect Hogan impression.
So what? Did you ever see when I did the Hulk Hogan impersonation?
I did. I have heard about it. I haven't watched it though.
Oh, dude. I even tricked my mom. She thought I was Hulk Hogan. So, because we did vignettes where I was standing in between two midgets, so I looked taller, you know, because I'm only 5'9". But back to the story. So I go back to the locker room. I say, Muda, you know, I'm like, you know, I'm showing respect. I'm like bowing how they do in Japan and stuff. And he's like, listen, kid. He said, you know, they called me the Funkster over there because that's what I did the Hulk Hogan shit over there too. I didn't like doing it, but that's what I got paid to do, so I did it.
Of course.
So Muda's like, listen, nobody knows the Funkster. You need to do all your special moves to Muda. Muda, do whatever you want. And I was sitting there going, God dang, this is crazy. Because Muda's telling me to do anything I want to him. He said, you get over. I want you to get over because nobody knows you. That is unheard of in the States. Nobody gives a shit about that. They just care about themselves. But that just shows you the difference between Japanese wrestling and in the States. You know, I'm wrestling the biggest guy ever in Japan, and he's telling me to do whatever the hell I want. Like, over here, that just don't happen. That's
unheard of in the States, man. Especially, from the things we've heard anyway. Like, you've been actually...
Oh, dude, if I wrestled Hogan even now, he'd be like, yeah, kid, we ain't doing shit. You know, take my boot and leg drop and, you know, blah, blah, blah. That's it. You know, and that's with a lot of other guys. Now, it's not everybody. There'd be a few guys that, you know, probably let you do some shit. But Eddie Guerrero being one of them. Eddie Guerrero always put me over big time when I was in WWE with him. I wrestled a lot of matches with Eddie, and man, him and I would have some great matches, you know, because he wanted to be a good match. He didn't want to just freaking do everything to me and just let me sell.
Were you in WWF Developmental around that time that Eddie was absent for? How long was that period?
Yeah, I was.
Awesome.
He got released. Well, I'm not sure if I'm pretty sure he got released. He got released and he went back to Florida, and then he come back, and then I was with like Brian Adams up there, Steve Blackman, Val Venus, which was awesome. Val Venus, in my opinion, is one of the most underrated wrestlers ever, dude. He was amazing.
Awesome.
He taught all of us down there a lot of stuff, including, like, he really took to Jamie Noble, and he took Jamie Noble under his wing. But yeah, and you know, I wrestled with a few other guys down there. We were in Les Thatcher's territory in Cincinnati, Ohio, and then we'd go down actually at OVW, which was down in Louisville, Kentucky. We'd go down there on Sundays and do a TV show with, like, let's see, John Cena, Randy Orton, Batista, Rico. You remember him? He was with Chuck Palumbo.
Definitely
Billy
remember
Gunn.
Rico.
You had the Basham brothers, and I'm trying to think. You had a few other guys, and the Boss Man was down there. Ray Traylor. You had a few good names down there, and I always tell people stories about. You know, I'd sit down there. We'd be down there all day doing a TV show with like John Cena and all these guys. And John Cena was actually pretty cool then. I'd sit in the locker room, talk to him. You know, 2-3 hours. We talk about all kinds of stuff. And then the last time they come down to Atlanta, I went to the show, and I was just wanting to hang out and talk to a couple guys. And I walked up to John and, you know, said, hey, John, Allan Funk, you remember me or whatever? And he's like, he just turned his head, wouldn't even say hi to me. I was like, that fucker.
That's not nice.
Yeah, it's even Arn Anderson kind of treated me like that. And in WCW, I was always good buddies with Arn. So I was a little, I had a bad taste in my mouth when I left the WWE show down here in Atlanta that last time I was there.
I wanted to bring it back a little bit because there had been a question on my mind since you were talking about the story about the stripper.
Man, I'm jumping all over the place. Ask me whatever you want.
That's okay. We'll bring you back onto the timeline that we've got here. With the stripper and your was that the moment she became your ex-wife?
No.
Oh, thank God.
She got over it, but I tell you. And then I had to do a spot with Tori Wilson when she was with Shane Douglas.
You lucky son of a bitch.
So I had to kiss Tori Wilson, you know.
Oh, dude.
This interview.
Right?
Getting Hogan's shirt was your lifelong dream. My lifelong dream was to kiss Tori, and you got to do both.
Dude, I tell you, man, I've done some stuff where, you know, I guess I took it for granted. But, you know, looking back on it, that night we're in Canada, right? So I'm doing a spot with Shane Douglas. So then they were like, boom, boom, boom. And then, you know, once you grab Tori and kiss her, I was like, ah, fuck yes.
Oh,
So I told my buddies backstage, I said, she will get tongue. Fuck it. So we do a spot, but this is how fucked up WCW was. So we get a spot. Me and Shane got like, I think 7 minutes, I want to say. So, you know, we're doing, I think it was Thunder we did. So, you know, I'm wrestling Shane Douglas, which is a well-known wrestler. And I'm starting doing more stuff on TV with guys that aren't from the Power Plant, which, you know, I'm enjoying.
Yeah.
And trying to get the rub from some of these guys, you know. So soon as I walk out, Shane walks out. I think Shane walked out first. I can't remember. But anyway, when I'm walking to the ring, they tell me to take it home already. They said, we don't have 7 minutes. You got to take it home as soon as you get to the ring.
Jeez.
Oh,
I'm like,
fuck
oh,
off.
this is bullshit. I said, I got to at least get this kiss in. I can't drop that. So I get to the ring. Shane Douglas says, look, kid, he said, fuck that shit. We're not going home. We're doing the whole fucking thing. He goes, I'll take the heat for it. And I said, fuck yeah, let's do it. And Shane's like, don't worry about nothing, man. I got it. I'll take the heat. I said, all right, man, fucking sounds good to me. So we have the whole match we planned out. But before the match, I called my wife because she goes, if you ever fucking kiss another girl, you better call me and tell me. So I called my ex-wife. I said, listen, honey, I got to kiss Tori Wilson. I said, I don't want to, but I got to.
You want to. You wanted to.
And oh, hell, who doesn't? I mean, I don't believe in cheating on your wife or nothing, but I mean, come on, man, it's entertainment. It's for the people. It wasn't for me. Let's not, you know,
bro,
take me out of this.
you're
I'm just doing it for everybody else.
You're getting paid to do it, so why not, eh?
Well, so I told my wife that. She got mad. She goes, you're going to fuck this bullshit. You're not doing it. Go in there and grow some balls and tell me you're not doing it. And I really couldn't do that, honestly. And that's the truth. I mean, I'm a new guy up and coming. I'm going to go back there and tell them to fuck off. I'm not doing what they want me to do. I'll be looking for a job.
No way.
So, I mean, I really didn't have a choice, but, you know, it was good. So, you know, I did the match and she got over it. You know what I'm saying? So, and we had a good match. We got to do the whole thing. And I don't really even know if Shane ever took heat for that or not. What I know of, he never took heat for it, for letting us do the whole thing. So I don't know what happened after that.
Well, I mean, I would say without a doubt in 2000 and 1999, Tori Wilson was the hottest woman on the planet. I don't care what anyone says.
Oh, dude, she's so cool too, man. She's really nice and grounded, and she's not conceited at all. So that makes it even better.
Yeah, her Hall of Fame speech when she went in, I think it was last year, that was one of the best speeches of the night, and you could tell she's just such a lovely person.
Oh yeah, she's sincere, man. She's great. She used to a story with her too. Also, like we were flying. I can't remember. I think we were flying to Europe. Well, she used to have in her contract, she had first class seats, or something like that. But she was dating Billy Kidman at the time, Pete Gruner, and so she come to me and asked me if I would switch seats with her so she could sit with Billy, because you know we had business class, which you know she had first class. But I mean, hell, I always switch seats with her because I figured shit. You sit with Billy, I'll take the first class. Screw it. You know.
Jack, I got two more things before I'll throw it back to you.
No, go for it.
I wanted to know any of your fondest memories of working with Paisley. She's just another incredible woman, great performer. Any of your fondest memories working with her?
Yeah, man. I mean, you know, we never traveled together or anything. Like, you know, some people probably think we travel together a lot and stuff, but we really only saw each other at the shows. And her and I always told her, we did a lot of these things at the arenas. Like, I think it started out somewhere in Milwaukee or something. They came to me and asked me, they couldn't get anybody else to go out. Like in the arena, we'd set up an autograph thing and you'd have autograph signings. So I'm like, we're doing it because I'm new and I want people to come to the arena and say, man, this guy was really cool. I'm going to start watching him. So we'd sit out, you know, a couple hours before the shows and sign autographs. You know, they'd have a crowd of people. I mean, you know, a couple hundred people, which was pretty cool because, you know, I've always took times to thank the fans for, you know, everything they supported me in. And so that started getting us a little notoriety and stuff. So she was always cool with it. She was down with, you know, what I wanted to do with the character because I wanted to get us over, you know. And there was a couple times that they had me going like overseas on a tour and they didn't have her on it. So then I would call the office and say, look, why didn't, you know, she's part of my gimmick, man. Why isn't she going with me? And then she'd call me up and she'd be almost crying in tears because she'd be like, man, I'm not going on tour. I'm not doing anything with you. So I'd always call the office and ask them what was going on, and they would actually put her on the card, which was good. So, I mean, her and I had good chemistry. She was great to work with. We never had a disagreement about anything because, pretty much we just did what the office wanted us to do anyway.
Awesome.
Right. And another question I had was obviously an infamous moment in Nitro history is that spear Goldberg gave you on the November 20th edition of Nitro in the year 2000.
Yeah, what do you guys think about that spear?
Fuck, it's the best one he ever hit.
Yeah, the best
Dude,
Goldberg.
I'm with you on that one because actually Jimmy Yang, you remember Jimmy Yang? Wang Yang?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I was going over to Japan when he called me up one day and said, "Hey man, I saw Goldberg over in Japan, and they were eating dinner or something." He said, "Man, he was putting you over huge." I said, "Oh yeah, what'd he say?" He's like, "Oh man, he was telling everybody how that spear was the greatest spear he ever did and stuff." But that was actually in Augusta, Georgia, and so we just drove down there that night. I drove down there with Mike Sanders. So I get to the arena, and everybody's like, "Oh man, you're wrestling Goldberg." I was like, "Fuck, are you serious?" Like, I was like, "God, that
Awesome.
is awesome." I mean, shit, any kid up and coming, watch WCW, man, wrestling Goldberg, you ain't going to get much bigger than that unless you wrestle Hogan, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, shit, I was like, I go out there and I find Bill. I was like, dude, we're working on that. And he's like, yeah. He goes, what do you want to do? And I was really good friends with Bill. He come down to the power plant quite a bit, and we trained a little bit down at the power plant. So Bill, as a person, was really cool, but I don't know, you've probably heard this before, he's kind of hard to work with.
Yep.
Yeah.
And, I wasn't expecting to go out there and have a 5-star match with him. And I knew we weren't going to have no time. I knew he was just going to try to crush me. And, I knew I had to do a job for him before I even talked to him. I mean, shit, if they were going to have me win that match, I'd have shit my pants. But, so I go out and I find him in the ring. And I said, look, Bill, I said, I don't know what you plan on doing, but I said, I got an idea, man. I think this is going to be good. And since I knew Bill, I didn't mind talking to him about stuff. So I get in the ring and I said, check this out. I said, I do the springboard sunset flip. And I said, and this is exactly how it went too. And I said, listen, when you come in the ring, I want you to slide under the bottom ring. I said, I'm going to start just kicking you and punching you. He's like, whoa, kid. He goes, I ain't selling that shit. I was like, yeah, no shit. You're not selling it. I already knew that. That's not what I'm saying. I said, just go with me for a minute. So he's like, I said, I'm going to get on you. And I said, I'm going to go to springboard off the ropes and jump on you, and you fucking come flying and you spear me midair. He's like, God dang. He goes, I'm going to fucking kill you. I said, I know. It's going to be awesome. And, I used to train with him. So he knows I'm not no pussy. So I said, listen, let's try to time it out and let's do it. So we did it a couple of times, and the timing was awesome from the get-go. And then he kept going, man, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. I said, bro, you got to do it. And, yeah, he didn't want to hurt me. And I said, Bill, come on, man. I said, are you going to hurt me? Probably. I don't give a shit. I said, this is going to fucking be awesome. So we did it a couple more times, and he really didn't want to do it. So I actually talked him into doing it. So the match, when we did the match, he actually bruised my ribs, and I had to wrestle that was a Monday. I had to wrestle Mike Sanders on a pay-per-view for the Cruiserweight title up in Milwaukee. So, I had 6 days to recover from damn bruised ribs, from that shit. But I knew it was going to be awesome. So as soon as we did it, boom, he hit me with that fucker. But then Bill being Bill wanted to get his fucking shit in like most other fucking guys.
Yeah.
Picks me up for a jackhammer. I even tried to dead ass him. I was like, dude, why the fuck are you picking me up for a jackhammer? You just fucking killed me. I said, if a fucking train ran me over, it fucking wouldn't have been no worse, And he picked me up for his jackhammer. It actually hurt me worse because my ribs were already bruised. If you watch that match and you see that jackhammer, he fucking twist me and land me crooked. I thought I was going to shit myself because my damn ribs were already bruised. And but after the match, I'm walking backstage. Goldberg had his own locker room because, some of those guys just they weren't in the locker room with the regular guys. They wanted their own shit. And so he had his own separate locker room. Well, they're like, man, Bill wants to see you in the locker room. So I walk back here. My ex-wife was actually with me. So we go in the room, man. He gives me a big hug and he goes, dude, I don't know how to thank you enough for that. He goes, that was fucking unbelievable. He goes, he goes, I owe you big time for that. He goes, I can't believe you did that for me. And then I was like, cool, man. He goes, if you ever need a favor, you call me. Whatever you need, bro. He goes, that was unbelievable, man. And he hugged me and was like thanking me for it and stuff, which was cool. But, I never redeemed my favor though.
I wanted to ask just before I throw over to Jack. I just had another question. You mentioned you wrestled Mike Sanders on pay-per-view. Was that your pay-per-view debut?
No, I don't think so. I'm trying to think of my first pay-per-view. Shoot, I can't even think back that far. I mean, I did several pay-per-views. Actually, honestly, I think my best pay-per-view match was the very last one was Greed when I wrestled Jason Jett. If you guys remember that.
Because I'm looking over my notes and it said that the first time you were on pay-per-view was Greed, but
it wasn't.
It wasn't, because I just watched the match with you and Goldberg, and they mentioned that this Sunday it's Sanders versus Kwee Wee. So
yeah. That was in Milwaukee, I believe. It was it Mayhem maybe, or I think it was a shirt where Steiner was on in a straitjacket or something. I can't remember. It might have been Mayhem. I can't remember.
You took on. Ooh, was it at? I'm just looking through cage match. Was it Fall Brawl 2000 against Elix Skipper for the cruiserweight title?
No. That was in Buffalo, New York. It's funny how you distinguish these matches, or in the city you're in. For some reason,
I notice a lot of wrestlers do that.
They always know the city that they were in when they had this one match, and they had thousands of matches.
Bro, Alex, me and Elix Skipper actually had a good match that night. That was the same match, if you remember. Paul Orndorff got hurt with the Natural Born Thrillers.
Oh shit! Yeah, that was horrible.
He got paralyzed.
Yeah. Wow.
I remember that because I went to the hospital afterwards to see
him. Jack, you want to go over Greed?
Yeah. Of course, it was like. I mean, the question I had was the same notes as what Karlifornia has about it being your first pay-per-view appearance, but it, of course, didn't turn out to be that.
No, that was the last one, man.
Yeah. So, with that being the final WCW pay-per-view, at the time, you guys had no idea that was going to be the final pay-per-view, right? Like, there was no... Did you guys have any sort of doubt?
No. Well, leading up to that, I'll tell you, I wasn't even supposed to be on that pay-per-view. Neither was Jason Jett.
Yeah.
I used to, I would actually drive with the PR guy. His name was Ross Foreman. He writes for like USA Today and stuff, and he was doing some stuff for the magazine. Me and him drove down to Florida to go to, we knew a few of the baseball players that played baseball, and they were having spring training down in Florida.
Yep.
So we went down there to see Sean Casey, who would play for the Reds, and then Steve Klein, he was a pitcher for the Cardinals. So we always like to go down, hang out in the locker room and hang out with the, baseball players, man. It was always cool. So we went down there like the whole week and visited with like baseball players and stuff. And then since we were down in Florida, I was supposed to be on Nitro that week. I said, hey, screw it. I'll just go to the pay-per-view and hang out. So we get to the pay-per-view. Me and Jason Jett were talking. He was talking to Vince Russo or somebody. Well, they end up putting us on the pay-per-view, which was, I'm so glad I was there because that was one of the best matches I ever had. And being on the last pay-per-view. But leading up to that, when me and Ross were driving down to Florida, Kevin Nash actually called. And he said, hey, man, Vince just bought WCW. And we're like, what the fuck? Are you serious? He's like, yeah, Vince just bought WCW, man. It's a done deal. We're like, fuck. I said, well, what the hell is that going to mean for me? I'm, they're probably going to say, fuck this guy. We're not going to pick him up. So I was kind of nervous about that. And then, when we get to the pay-per-view Sunday night, I'm thinking, well, shit, we're going to see a bunch of WWE guys there, which they weren't. It was business as usual as WCW. Well, so then after that match, we get to Nitro in Panama City Beach. Soon as we walk in, man, it's like the atmosphere was kind of almost deflated. It was kind of weird. Nobody really knew what to do.
Yeah, man.
You see Shane McMahon walking around. You see, Jerry Briscoe, Pat Patterson, Stephanie McMahon. You see, all the WWE guys, and you're like, fuck, man, this shit is happening. And so then they had a big meeting with all of us. And we go into, like the catering, I think it was, and they had a big meeting, and, Jim Ross and everybody's talking, and they're saying, oh, don't nobody get, don't worry, you're all going to keep your jobs and da-da-da. So, afterwards, I talked to a couple of the guys, Jerry Briscoe and asked them, what they really thought about whether they would keep my contract or not. He said, well, right now you're going to be all right, but I don't know what the future holds. He didn't really know. So I was a little nervous then, thinking, shit, they're going to put two rosters onto one, and there's going to be a lot of guys getting fired. That's what I thought. And
it must have been for you pretty frustrating that you're starting to appear on the pay-per-views. You're at the height of your success in WCW, and now all of a sudden this happens. It must have been really deflating for you to have got to that point. You're finally there. You're on pay-per-view. You're doing things every single month. You're always on TV, and now this fucking happens. You must have been just, fuck, I'm going to have to start from scratch.
No, yeah, it was a roller coaster for me as far as like emotions, man. I'm thinking on one hand, the optimistic side, man, shit, I'm going to be in WWE now because I actually always wanted to be in WWE. So I'm like, on the positive side, I'm now employed at WWE. There's, some of the people they put on TV and got over with some of the stupid gimmicks, I'm thinking, shit, if I'm going to be able to do anything with my size, it's going to be in WWE.
Yeah.
Something, one side of me is like, God, this might be the greatest thing ever. And then the other side of me is just like, fuck, man, I'm done. They ain't going to do shit with me. And that's pretty much was the case. They didn't do shit with me. I wrestled, I was under contract for a year or so, maybe a little longer. I just did untelevised, pretty much independent matches with like Eddie Guerrero and, Brian Clark or Brian Adams. Other than that, Brian Adams. Through Brian Adams, the only good thing out of that was I became good friends with Macho Man at that point. And I used to do some stuff with Macho Man as well. He always fly me down to Florida and do some work with him.
Awesome, man.
I guess I wanted to, sorry, Jack, to scale it back a little bit the final Nitro.
Oh, that was going to be exactly what I was going to ask.
Oh, was it? Okay, good.
It was actually pretty cool during the show once everything got settled down. Because, it was in Panama City Beach, spring break. There were a lot of college chicks there.
Oh, yeah.
So what me and a couple of the guys did was we went over to this. We were outside in the ring and we saw up in these kids had like a banner and stuff. We're like, you know what? Fuck it. Like me and Evan Courageous. You remember Evan Courageous? He was in 3 Count.
Yep.
And I think Shane Helms too, and Shannon Moore maybe. And a few of us, Mike Sanders, we all said, fuck it. Let's go up there and knock on their door and fucking we'll hang out with them. So we went up there on the door, knocked on the door, and the kid's like, oh, fuck. So we're up there hanging out with these college kids, and and we took a couple Nitro girls with us, and I took Paisley with me. So, these kids were fucking shitting their pants. They're like, this is fucking ridiculous, man. All these WCW fucking guys come up here and hanging out with us. So, I mean, that was cool. But the show, man, was just so fucking weird. It was just a weird vibe backstage. Like, to me, it just was like, they weren't doing anything that made sense to me that night. I don't know if it was just me, but nothing just seemed right.
I agree, man. Like having the was it the WCW title open the show?
Like, yeah, something like that. That show kind of is embarrassing to me. I kind of want to keep it out of my head other than having fun at the show.
I found the setup for the show to be fucking awesome. Like the atmosphere.
It looked great.
It looked amazing. But I just found it's just knowing the fate at the end of that show, and of course, knowing that WCW is going to be no more after that show. I think that that inevitable fate that's waiting at the end of the show kind of just puts a dampener on top of it. On what was a pretty okay show. I mean, I feel like in terms of a send off for WCW, it would have been better off with a pay-per-view, possibly funded by the WWE. I think they could have possibly done something like that because, WCW.
Well, dude, I mean, you, all three of us know that WWE dropped the ball on buying that company. They could have done
don't get me started.
I mean, dude,
a 10-year-old could have booked that angle better than what they did.
Amazing. I mean, that's what people want to see. You could have, top guy from WWE wrestling the top guy from WCW, like switch or invading their show. Do anything, man. Which they tried to do the invasion angle, which was stupid. They didn't do anything right. It was unbelievable to me how they orchestrated the whole thing.
The timing of it was so off, in my opinion. I feel like they could have given it, a couple years. Let the contracts of say, the guys that didn't want to work, they just wanted to sit at home and get paid. Let their contracts expire. Yeah, exactly. Get in touch with them. Yeah. I feel like a couple of years would have really made a massive difference in the invasion storyline.
Like turn SmackDown into Nitro and have Raw and Nitro, keep them separate for a little bit longer and. Reconvene when you can get some of those bigger contracts. I don't know.
Well, I mean, anything they could have done besides what they did would have been better. I mean, it was just, I mean, I didn't have a chance. Once I seen what was going on, I was like, shit, I'm fucked. I ain't doing shit.
Did you have any sort of, did they give you any idea whatsoever, like any hint that you possibly could have got picked up into a main show?
Well, at that point, Johnny Ace calls me up. Me and Mike Sanders, like I said, are good buddies. His dad owned a tow truck company, right?
Yep.
So me and Mike Sanders we're off. We're still getting paid. We're getting paid $1,000 a week to sit our asses at home. Every Monday I'd go in the mailbox and get $1,000 check for nothing.
Fuck.
So I'm going to the mailbox every Monday getting my check. I ain't doing shit. So me and Mike decided, fuck it, we're going to drive tow truck for his dad. And, I was making another $500 cash a week driving tow truck.
Awesome.
So shit, I'm making as much or more than I was making in WCW, not really doing shit, So I mean, and then Johnny Ace called me up. I'm driving a tow truck one day. I remember him calling me. He's like, he goes, "Hey, Allan, I got some good news and bad news for you. I'm originally from Ohio, but I'm in Atlanta. I've been here for 21 years." He calls me and says, "Hey," and I'm married. He's like, "Hey, WWE's picking up your contract, but you got to move to Cincinnati in 2 weeks, no questions asked." And I'm like, God dang, I just got to pick up and leave. Like, I'm not even doing anything like with WWE. I'm going to their Les Thatcher school in Cincinnati, Ohio, and I'm thinking I'm going right back to the power plant's what I'm doing.
Yeah, exactly.
Their version of the power plant. So I'm going backwards, dude. I'm kind of mad. So I explained the shit to my wife. I go home talk to my wife about it. She's fucking pissed. She's like, "You're not moving to Cincinnati and da-da-da," which is understandable. I'm going backwards at this point. So, but I'm like, listen, I can't just stop now. I come this far. I just can't quit.
Yeah.
I got to have a little bit of time to see if, feel it out, see if anything's going to happen,
You don't want to look back in. Sorry, Allan. You don't want to look back in 20 years' time and say, "What if?"
Yeah, no shit. I mean, I gotta finish this, man. I can't just stop now. And unfortunately, it didn't work out the way I wanted. But I became better friends with Eddie Guerrero and a few of the other guys, Steve Blackman, guys like that. And we hung out and ate dinner a lot, worked out together in the gym, and worked out together at Leicester School and did some TV tapings down in Louisville and stuff like that. But nothing ever came of it other than having some camaraderie with some of the good guys.
What an absolute sort of stacked roster you got to become friends with and work alongside of and learn from, man, like Steve Blackman, Eddie Guerrero, the likes.
Those guys were amazing, man. They taught us all. They had patience with us, and they wanted to see us succeed. They just didn't have a choice in whether we did or not.
Heartland Wrestling at that point has got a stacked roster now.
They had some good guys down there, man. They had I'm trying to think. I know Shark Boy was down there because I was good friends with Dean.
Reno was there.
Well, I mean, they had all the WCW guys down there. They had they had Shannon Moore, they had Jamie Noble, they had me, they had Rick Cornell, they had you remember Lash LaRue?
Yeah.
Yep.
They had Mike Sanders. They had they had their own roster before we got there. They had ECMO and Umaga and Rosie. They had what was his name? Steve. Dude, they had all kinds of guys from their Memphis territory down there already. So they had some good guys. Steve Bradley, that was his name. He was a good guy. And they had a few other guys down there. I just can't think right now who the hell was down there. But yeah, man, we had a hell of a damn roster down there in Heartland Wrestling at that time.
Absolutely stacked, man. Like, I wanted to get to your time in TNA. So when you were you one of the first people to get signed to TNA? Obviously, you were there very early in its run. What was your
first show?
What was your vision and expectation of TNA's future at the time, given it was a brand new company? And what was your sort of reaction to getting signed to TNA when they hadn't even been a first show yet?
Well, yeah, as far as I know, when I talked to Jeff Jarrett and his dad, Jerry called me up one day, and I was pretty excited about it because they explained to me that I was going to be one of their top guys, which, I worked with Jeff before, and I always got along with Jeff, and he always treated me good. And he saw the potential that I had, and he believed in me. So, he wanted me to be one of the guys there. So he wanted me to be a tag team partner with Lenny Lane, which was in WCW with Lodi. And Lenny's a great guy, man. Awesome talent, man. He's a hard worker. And we got along really well from the get-go. Well, as soon as we get there, we go to a meeting. The very first show, we're in Alabama somewhere. I can't even remember what town it was in. And we're at a pretty big arena. And so I'm with Jerry Jarrett and Jeff, and they're telling me and Lenny, you guys are going to be my top tag team. We're putting the straps on you. You guys are going to be you're it. You're my top tag team. We did all the promo pictures. They had wardrobe for us that they want us to wear and this and that. And, me and Lenny are like, fuck, dude, they're really going to push us, man. This is legit. And then the very first fucking night, after they tell us all this shit, they're like, yeah, you remember Chris Harris and James Storm, right?
James Storm, yep.
That were America's Most Wanted, I believe. Oh, shit, sorry about that. I should have turned my email off.
Okay,
so the first match that night, they're like, all right, here's what we want you guys to put these kids over, which we're thinking, man, we don't have a problem with that because me and Lenny don't have egos. We're good with that. So they did this angle where Chris Harris and James Storms just walk into the building with their bags. They're like, you need to go to the ring because nobody wants to wrestle these guys and you got to have a tag team match. So we put them over, which was no big deal. So then after that, then they have this tag team tournament for the titles. And me and Lenny's like, all right, well, we know we're going to win this tournament because they told us we're going to be the champions. So here comes the tournament. They have a team that isn't even a team beat us for the tag team titles. Do you remember who that was?
Who was that?
It was AJ Styles and Jerry Lynn.
Oh, right, of course.
So AJ and Jerry come in. They're like, oh, yeah, they're going over. And we're like, what the fuck?
So the makeshift tag
we're
team.
like, dude. Yeah, exactly. We're supposed to be their top tag team. So it's the same old shit for me. I'm telling Lenny, I was like, this is fucking horseshit, man. They're just treating me like WCW did, and they tell you shit you want to hear, and then they don't do it. So that's been my wrestling career, which is I kind of – you remember Brad Armstrong used to wrestle?
Yeah.
Vaguely.
He's actually the Road Dogg's brother.
Yeah.
The Armstrongs are all related. The James.
Steve and Brad and
exactly.
Scott Armstrong, yeah.
Yeah, Bullet Bob, the dad. Great
Yeah.
family, man. Their whole family is top-notch, man. They're the greatest family I ever met in wrestling. And, I equate my career to Brad's, except I didn't really get to – Brad always got to wrestle with top talent his whole career, man. Brad was probably one of the most underrated wrestlers ever in the history of wrestling. And I kind of feel that way about me. If I could have ever just, took my top off and poured out what I had, people would have been impressed with me, and I really believe that.
That brings me
But I
back
never got a
to
chance.
that brings me back to something I wanted to ask earlier. If you could really have pushed and sunk your teeth into that angry Allan Funk gimmick in WCW, how far do you think you really could have taken it?
Oh, shit. I could have seen me up in WWE having matches with Benoit and Kurt Angle and having 5-star matches. And hell, who knows? I might have got the heavyweight title.
Yeah.
I mean, shit. I believe I was every bit as good a wrestler as anybody on the damn roster. And that's just the way it was. I'm athletic. I was built great. I wasn't the tallest guy in the world. But, man, my work ethic is nobody can come to my work ethic. You can ask anybody down at the power plant. I always stood out with all those guys.
Of course.
I wanted to quickly jump in. Sorry, Jack. Before we finish off talking a little bit about your run in TNA, I was just thinking then I'd like to know about how things came to an end with WWE and HWA. I know you were there for a stint. Were you released? Did you decide to leave? How did that come about?
Yeah, so one day they're telling us, all right, well, Les Thatcher says, hey, the office is coming down there. Johnny Ace, trying to think who else was in there. A couple of the office guys. I want to say maybe I can't remember. I know Johnny Ace was at that time. Johnny Laurinaitis, which is Road Warrior Animal's brother.
Yep.
But he was in charge of the talent back then. So he comes down there one day. And, they're all – dude, it was so freaking crazy. I mean, everybody – we're in Les's school, the HWA, where they have the matches. So we're all out by the wrestling ring. We're all standing there. They're calling each one of us in individually, and either a guy's coming in there almost in tears or actually crying because he just got released, and all the other guys that stand around still got a job. So it was a crazy damn day, man. So you got guys – I remember I think it was Elix Skipper walked in there, got fired, come out. He was almost in tears. A couple other guys like that where I didn't really think I was going to get released because, like I said, I always thought I stood out. And I'm thinking to myself, I really don't think I'm getting released. But what they did was the same thing they did down in OVW was they already had their guys. All the guys from Memphis, not one of those guys got fired. They had us come down there to make those guys better. I believe this is the way they always had it planned. That they wanted us WCW guys down there to got some TV experience, got to work with some good guys, wrestle them in all these indie shows, work with them every day, get them better, and then just release us. And I believe it wholeheartedly that was the case. So we all go in there, we all get fired. There ain't one guy from Memphis territory that even wasn't even better than half the guys that came from WCW. They didn't even think about firing those guys. And then that was the same way it was down there at OVW, the same thing. They treated those guys like John Cena, Batista, Orton, all those guys. They already knew they were the Golden Boys. We'd go to TV matches where we'd all try to get dark matches. None of the WCW guys ever got a dark match. And all the guys from Heartland and OVW would get the dark matches. None of us would get a dark match. And I'll tell you one Christmas, they had a list of guys' names on the board. They had flights and stuff that WWE paid for all these guys to go home. And then they looked at all the WCW guys and goes, "You guys got to drive home or get there or pay for it however you get there. We don't care."
Jesus fucking.
So, you know, we
fucking
already knew
bullshit.
it was fucked.
It is fucking bullshit that none of you guys even got given a chance to just even have a fucking dark match. I mean, how hard is that? They had enough fucking TV shows on air at the
Dude,
time.
I beg for a dark match. I beg for dark matches, man. I'm like, please. I take it back. I think Johnny the Bull did get one dark match with Rob Van Dam. It was actually a pretty damn good match, which I was kind of nervous because back then we always joked around because Johnny the Bull wasn't really the smartest guy in the room. And we were kind of nervous for him. And I think they did that on purpose to see how he was going to react. But Johnny the Bull, man, is such a great athlete that, you know, it worked. And he had a pretty damn good match with Rob Van Dam. And I think that's what kept him working up there. But that would happen to any of us. If they would have given us a dark match with anybody, I mean, I could have wrestled anybody. I don't give a shit who they would have put me against. I would have wrestled anybody and had a good match with them, you know?
It takes no effort other than paying for an airfare to just give somebody an opportunity. And it's like they had already figured out your ultimate destination, which was you were going to be in HWA, you're going to do OVW, you're going to help these guys. I can totally see that because I've heard so many stories of their business practices over the years. They were never going to give any of you guys.
That's just my opinion, and I was there, and it happened to me. So I can pretty much tell you that was the case. I mean, people can say whatever they want, but I mean, that's the only story I saw unfolding the whole time I was there.
Surely doesn't surprise me with WWE.
No, it doesn't. Everyone that leaves or who was there, they always have a horror story of you know the way that they were treated or not being given a chance or having an idea and that idea ends up getting used for somebody else. It's just
doesn't make sense.
I mean, I'm good friends with Kevin Nash, but did you guys ever hear the story of how he became Big Sexy?
Please tell me. I haven't heard it.
All right. Well, okay. So there was a guy. You can look him up. His name was Luther Biggs, and he was. I don't.
You remember with, Glacier?
Yes, sir. Well, so Luther Biggs was actually called Big Sexy. He was doing the Big Sexy gimmick. I don't know how true this is, but I'm pretty good friends with Luther Biggs and Ray, which is Glacier, Ray Lloyd. So Luther used to tell us a story. He goes, "Man, my gimmick was Big Sexy," because he was kind of fat and dumpy looking. So that was kind of like I'm Big Sexy. And it was actually a pretty damn good gimmick. And so he was going to do a Saturday night when they were doing it down in Florida Studios, I think it was. And he was getting ready to wrestle, and Kevin came in there. He was booker time and said, "Man, you can't use Big Sexy. It's too risky." And then the next I don't know if it was the next night or the next couple of weeks, he announced himself as Kevin Nash Big Sexy. So we still call Luther Biggs to this day the original Big Sexy because he says he knows the truth, and that's the way it is. But I can see it happen.
I guess Luther's like Buddy Rogers and Nash is like Ric Flair.
That's right. It's all who you are in the wrestling business, man. And Kevin Nash was already had a spot, and that's just the way it was. I mean, I'm not saying nothing bad about Kevin, but that's what I hear how the story went.
Right.
The horses.
I wanted to finish off a little bit on your TNA experience before I throw it back to Jack to talk about All Japan. From what I read, the original idea was to bring in Lodi and Lenny, but Lodi had a neck injury or something like that, and they were supposed to be managed by Joel Gertner from ECW, and then that's when you as Bruce was brought in. Just wanted to throw that in there. When you left TNA, how did that all come about? I mean, obviously you weren't happy with the promises that they'd made, and you were never, saw fruition. How did the exit from TNA take place? I mean, you had this TNA thing and all that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, there wasn't no bad taste in my mouth other than, I don't. Did I really want to do Miss TNA? No, but I mean, do I have a choice? Because that's the only thing they're giving me. I gotta take what they give me, right? So I'm just like anybody else, man. If I got a job that I love doing and I want to keep doing it, I guess I'm going to eat a shit sandwich. You know what I mean? Other than that, I wouldn't have a job. So, I mean, it was either that or nothing, you know what I'm saying? So, the way it really went down was, and I'll be honest with you, that's the first time I ever heard that Lenny and Lodi, where they were going to bring Lodi in. I didn't really know that, to be honest with you.
Oh, really? Okay.
I was never told that, but I could see that happening. And, I mean, it doesn't make me mad because Lodi's a good guy. I'm good friends with Lodi, and he's a hell of a talent. So, and then, I mean, actually, it's flattering if, you know, they couldn't use Lodi, they called me to be the next guy, which is kind of cool. I don't have nothing bad to say about Brad. He was always a good guy to me, and I actually see him in a couple indie shows the last few months here. Well, not since all this COVID shit. But,
yeah, we're going to get to
so
it next month, so that'll be great.
So we get to TNA, me and Lenny do what we're doing, whatever, and we never get told what we're doing. And one of the reasons that I no longer work for TNA is, I don't know if you know, I was over in Helsinki, Finland in 2003, and Sonny Siaki did a split leg moonsault and damn near killed me. You know, I got actually, I don't know if you can see, like, you see my, this eye here is open and this eye is kind of closed still. This eye actually popped out of my head.
Oh,
I got 6 plates in my face. I was bleeding out of my ears. The doctor came into the hospital and told Mike Sanders, because Mike Sanders was over there with me. I asked Mike to come to the hospital with me because I was I'll be honest with you, man, I was scared. I thought I was going to die. So I remember Mike walking into the hospital room, kind of acting weird. He didn't really have much to say, and he kind of looked like he just saw a ghost on his face. And I really couldn't see much anyway because, like I said, I was pretty hurt. So then flash back to 3 weeks later, I was in the hospital for 3 weeks. I finally get back to Atlanta. First thing Mike tells me, he picks me up and we meet. First thing Mike tells me was, "Hey, man, you know that doctor, you remember when I came in the room?" I said, "Yeah, I remember that." He says, the doctor told me that you were going to die that night. And he said, "There's no way you're going to make it through the night." Shit. He said the injuries he has, he's bleeding on the brain. You know, I had a skull fracture. You know, like I said, my eyeball was popped out of my damn head. My ears, I broke both my eardrums. I was bleeding out of both ears. He said, "Your friend ain't going to make it." So Mike actually came in there to tell me goodbye. That's why he was acting so weird. Shit. But, you know, obviously I didn't die for whatever reason. I guess God's got something else for me. But, and that was one of the reasons TNA, from what I hear, didn't want to use me anymore because they thought I was not able to wrestle anymore, which I wasn't able to. I actually, from a year to the day that I got hurt, I actually went back over to Japan and was wrestling over there. And, but it took me a year to recover from that.
Shit. I mean, what was the rehab process like with all that?
Slow. I mean, I couldn't see. Like, you ever been in a swimming pool when you open your eyes under the water?
Yeah.
That's basically how I saw for maybe 5-6 months. Jeez. I couldn't drive a car because I couldn't really see. And I lost a lot of weight, couldn't go to the gym. Any kind of pressure that I would try to strain, I would feel my face feel like it was going to pop because I had all them plates and stuff in my face. And I couldn't go to the gym I didn't go to the gym for 9 months because of the feeling in my face.
Wow. Holy shit, man. But
it was crazy.
Hectic.
I had absolutely no idea any of this had happened. Have you told this story before?
Yeah, it's on my Wikipedia. You can read it. It's pretty accurate.
I love that, like, you know, you could just go there and just read your Wikipedia and just judge, hey, is this article about my life accurate or not?
It actually is pretty accurate. There's a couple things on there that are kind of iffy, but it's pretty accurate.
There's a fun little question I wanted to ask a while back in the interview. I'd never got a chance to do it. How did you get your hair so, like, just sparked up like that? I know that you said you wear your hair like that, but
if people saw me do that hair, they would freaking laugh their ass off.
Did you?
So I used to get a mirror,
yeah,
like a long mirror, like a long skinny mirror, like the kind you'd have hanging on your door, right?
Yeah.
I'd put it on the wall, and I would wet my hair, and I actually had this hairspray. It was called Freeze It, and I would it was like an aerosol thing, but I would untwist the cap and actually pour it in my hand, like water. So then I would put it in my hair. And then I would, like, put my head between my legs upside down and look in the mirror. And then I could see it hanging. And then I would kind of, like, take a comb and style it the way I wanted it. And then I would blow dry it like that while my head was hanging upside down looking in the mirror to make sure it was where I wanted it. And it would get so damn hard. It was like cement. And then, you know, then I'd add glitter to it and then spray some hairspray on the glitter to keep it in the spot. So that's how I did my hair.
It sounds so awesome and so much work as well. But man, like that gimmick is.
Oh, dude, it was a pain in the ass. And then every time I'd wash that shit out, I'd go in the shower and have about 5 pounds of hair. That's why I'm bald now.
It must have been so good to just go bald after having to prepare your hair like that for so long whenever you had to wrestle.
Dude, I
man.
tell you what, I wish I'd have shaved my head 10 years earlier. I shave my head like once a day, and I mean, shit, it ain't gonna get messed up in the wind,
Your time in All Japan Pro Wrestling, what gimmick did you use over there?
Well, unfortunately, I used that. It was the Funkster. It was a spoof of Hulk Hogan, which I used in WWE, and I was actually doing that in WWE too. And that's another funny story. Kevin told me one day in the gym, we were in Gold's Gym in Kennesaw, Georgia, and Kevin said, Hogan's pissed off about that shit. I said, why is he mad about it? He's
Really?
like, he just mad. He don't like you doing it. And that's probably one of the reasons I wasn't in WWE, to be honest with you.
There's probably hundreds of
But
other
I didn't want to do it
wrestlers.
anyway. What's that?
There's probably hundreds of other wrestlers out there that have imitated Hulk Hogan at a live show.
Yeah.
All the gimmick.
Well, there was a guy in Japan that was actually doing that for another company over there, and he actually asked Hogan for his permission to do it. So, Hogan probably got a stick up his ass and was like, brother, kid didn't ask me, fuck him.
As long as Hogan gets to have his little, his say and his moment with someone, then it's okay. But, if it's
exactly.
If he doesn't get that little bit, then he doesn't get the little, shot in the ego, then it's,
I didn't get pissed
loose.
off at Hogan. He didn't ask me permission to do that sex tape. I taught him how to do.
Okay, no. I asked what gimmick you were using in Japan because I wanted to know if it translated well with a foreign audience, but I can't imagine that a Hulk Hogan imitation would translate well with the Japanese crowd because Hulk Hogan is.
No, it actually gets over because I tell you one thing about Japanese people, man, they love that stupid gimmick shit, man. They love it. Like, I mean, you know who Ebasan is that works for Osaka Pro?
No.
Wears a mask, kind of fat guy.
No.
I mean, good guy. His name's Ebasan. He wears like a mask. And he's fat, out of shape, but man, people love that freaking gimmick, and it's stupid. I mean, I hate to say that, but it is stupid, and they like anything that's like outrageous, like it's not normal. You know what I mean? They kind of like that shit over there, and it actually got over. I mean, if it didn't get over, I wouldn't have been wrestling Muda. I can tell you that much.
The Japanese, I've seen they've had a ladder win a world championship. They've had a golden retriever win a world championship. So I mean. Fuck. I mean, anything can happen over in Japan.
Isn't that DDT Pro Wrestling or whatever they're called?
It's so
they love crazy shit overseas, man.
Oh, I love Japanese pro wrestling for the ridiculousness. I mean, I've never really been able to get into NJPW or anything like that. I haven't been able to get into the stuff that all these people are going crazy for in the Tokyo Dome and stuff like that. But those ridiculous things have just made me just go, what the fuck are these guys doing? And hey, it makes me fucking pay attention. And I think that's the important part at the end of the day in wrestling is, mate, you need to have people pay attention, whether it's good or bad. Any publicity in wrestling.
You'll get there. Keep trying.
Any publicity in wrestling is good publicity. There we go.
Take it slow there, kid.
I need more water, man.
He's had a couple of beers. And he's not
what kind of beer were you drinking?
I'm actually drinking right now. So you wouldn't have this in the States, and if you do, I'll be very surprised. It's called Melbourne Bitter. It is.
Yeah, I mean, I might be able to get that. There's a couple craft beer places down there. Emu
Bitter. Emu Export. It's called Bush Chook. It's it essentially tastes like water. It's like maybe like a Pabst Blue Ribbon in the US.
I got you.
I think Pabst.
So you guys are in Europe, right? You're not in Australia, right?
No, we're Australia.
Oh no, we're Perth, Australia.
Okay, I wrestled in Australia, man. I loved it down there.
When did
you come here?
Yeah.
I came there with WCW. I wrestled.
Oh, you did the tour.
In Melbourne, or no, wait a minute. Yeah, where the Australian Open is. That's Melbourne, right?
Yeah.
Melbourne. So I broke Johnny the Bull's ankle in Melbourne. I wrestled him. Let's see. I wrestled for the WWE over there in what year was that? 2002, maybe?
Yeah, it was just. I think that was just after you left HWA. You went straight to WWA to do a few shows.
Yeah. I wrestled Carl Ouellette, the Quebecer, which was great. He's awesome, man.
Is that PCO now?
AJ Styles was on that tour. Nova. What's that?
Oh, no, you just mentioned Carl Ouellette. I was just wondering if that was PCO now.
Yeah, that's him.
Yep. With you?
Yeah, he's awesome, dude. He's great.
As if he's still performing to this day,
He's like,
Yeah, I think he just
wasn't he
signed
Ring
with
of
Ring
Honor
of Honor.
champ?
Yeah.
He was Ring of
Yeah.
Honor champion. He's actually like having the biggest success he's ever had in wrestling right now, which is
Yeah.
crazy because
Well, I mean, you know what? That just shows you what kind of guy he is, man. He's a good talent, and he's a hell of a guy, man. He was cool as shit when I met. That's the first time I ever met him. Me and him got along great, man. He was a good guy.
What cities in Australia did you do shows in? I know there were obviously would have been Sydney and Melbourne.
I wrestled in Sydney twice. I wrestled in Perth twice.
Sick.
And I think I wrestled in Melbourne twice.
Yep.
And we wrestled somewhere else.
Brisbane.
Brisbane, that's what. Brisbane, and there might have been another place. It was in Queensland.
Brisbane's Queensland. Adelaide is in
maybe
South
it's-
Australia.
Yeah, maybe that's what it was.
But I actually was like, I think at that time 12 years old, and I had a ticket to see WCW in Perth, but that show
Okay.
got cancelled.
It got canceled?
Yeah, I think you might have been with WWA when you came to Perth.
Maybe it was.
Did the show go?
Yeah.
I remember I wrestled Billy Kidman over there on a house show one night. They had a house show somewhere, and I can't remember where that was. I think it was in Sydney, and we got on the bus and drove somewhere, maybe an hour away or something. So I'm not really sure where that was. And then I know I wrestled Johnny the Bull, and I can't even remember what else I did over there. But that's another funny story. I think it was in Australia. We're in the locker room in Australia. So Arn Anderson, Fit Finley, they call a meeting. We're in the locker room, right? So you got Kevin Nash back there. You got Goldberg. You got Bo Steiners. You got DDP, all these guys. Well, I'm relatively new. So I said, you know what? Fuck this shit. I'm going to stir the pot. So we're back here in this meeting, and they're having like a battle royal type of Royal Rumble type gimmick where, guys are coming to the ring and, you're getting thrown over the top. Well, so it come up to me, and Arn Anderson said, hey, man, you're going to come to the ring. Kevin Nash is going to be in there, and he's just going to throw somebody out or whatever, and then you're going to come in, and he's going to throw you out. And I fucking stood up, and I said, fuck you, Arn, in front of all these people. And he looked at me like, what? And I said, nah, bullshit. I said, I ain't fucking doing it. He's like, what do you mean you're not doing it? I said, fuck you, I ain't doing it. I said, I'm trying to get over. I can't get over with fucking going in the ring and Kevin just throwing me over the top. I said, I'm a fucking tough guy. I ain't fucking doing it. And he looked at me like, he's like, this fucking young kid better shut his fucking mouth. Like, he looks at Fit Finley, and then I hit him in the shoulder. And I said, I'm just kidding, fucking with you, Arn. He's like, you motherfucker. And then because Scott Steiner and shit, I actually become pretty good friends with Scotty, but at the time I really didn't know him. And he's like, who the fuck does this kid think he is? So, and then I saw Arn the last night of the tour. He was down there fucking, pulling a handle, playing these damn slot machines. We were in, I think we were in Melbourne at the time at the hotel where the fire goes around the top. You know what I'm talking about?
Yep.
Yeah.
And so he's in a casino, and I see him. So I walk over to him and say, hey, Arn, what's up, man? And he's pulling a slot machine, and he starts laughing. He's like, you fucker. He goes, I was sitting on the shitter taking a shit this morning. And I started laughing. And I said, what were you doing laughing, taking a shit? He goes, I was thinking about you popping off to me in that damn meeting. He's like, I didn't know what the fuck was going on. Because he said, I can't believe you did that shit. He was laughing. He thought it was pretty funny.
I'd like to bring it back to All Japan at this point, and ask you about the other American wrestlers that were there and your experiences with them. I think Mike Awesome was with you then, and a couple of others.
Mike, and you remember a guy his name was Jerry Toot, his real name, but he wrestled as the Wall. And
yeah.
He was one of my best friends, man. He actually died over in Japan.
Were you there when that happened?
I didn't go on that tour, but man, I wish I would have been on that tour because when I was over there, so Jerry was one of these guys that he 100 miles an hour all the time. For the biggest guys, he made like $10,000 a week in Japan, bro.
Shit.
But let me tell you something. He spent $11,000 a week just partying. So when I went over there with him, I wouldn't let him go out. I mean, not that I'm going to stop the guy, but I said, look, man, I'm good friends with you. I was trying to help him out. I said, we come over here to make money, man. He always wanted to go out every night. And this is how nice of a guy he was. He wanted to pay for everybody's dinner every damn night. And I said, Jerry, there is nothing wrong with taking guys out and being cool. But I said, there is something wrong with you spending all your fucking money when you're over here making money. And then he kind of agreed with me. And I said, listen, we come over, and I wasn't making that kind of money. I was making $3,000 a week over there. I mean, he's making 10. And so I was like, I said, listen, me and you go to dinner, hang out. If you want to buy my dinner, fine. I'll buy your dinner tomorrow night. And So, you know, we'd go back to the hotel. Me, him, and Mike Awesome would play cards then all night, or play video games, or watch a movie. And then they were like, Jerry's like, man, I love when you come over here with me. I go home with all my fucking money. You know, then he could do whatever he wanted over in the States, you know. And I actually helped him. He was trying to get help getting off drugs because he was addicted to pain pills and, you know, shit like that. And Jerry wasn't afraid to take 10 fucking pills of anything. You could tell him, hey, man, this is a fucking good gimmick. Take him. He'd fucking take him. He wouldn't give a shit. And so I was trying to help him break that habit, which I did when I was over there. But, I mean, I don't take responsibility for him dying or anything, but I kind of wish I was there. I might have been able to help him, you know.
Yeah, of course.
But Mike Awesome was a great guy. He actually hung himself too. I think he hung himself.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
Yeah, me and Mike became real close over there because every tour, you know, we were basically rooming right next to each other. So we always, with me, him, and Jerry, we'd always hang out. You know, we were always together on the bus. You know, we were always together at the arena. And then there was a guy from Hawaii, Kea. I think his name was Tao Kea.
Tayo Key or something like that.
Yeah, he was a real cool guy, man. But he was actually a young boy over there. He come up over there, so he was a top guy, and he was a real good dude. Let's see, and then there was you remember Sean Hernandez? It was with TNA.
Yeah,
he was in that
Bagley?
Mexican gimmick, I guess.
The LAX, yeah, Hernandez.
He did a Kurt Angle gimmick over there. I don't know if you ever seen that or not. They had he had a singlet on and he acted like Kurt Angle, pretty much. That's what he did on that tour. Then Elix Skipper was over there a few times.
Hernandez was Homicide's tag partner, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I believe he was. There was a couple of them. I honestly never really watched TNA at that point, but I knew he was there.
There was a big gap in your career from Old Japan until you got to Lucha Libre USA. What were you doing during that time period?
I was working armed security, believe it or not. Not making great money, but I mean, shit, I don't have a college degree, so I got to do what I got to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course. But
I actually got the Lucha Libre gimmick. Mark Jindrak called me. He was real big down Mexico at that point. So they contacted Mark. They wanted him to be the top guy, which, you know, he deserves it. He's a hell of an athlete. His body's great. Good guy. Me and him were still good friends. He called me up one day and said, hey, man, I got a deal. We're going to be doing a show on MTV2 and MTV3. And like, we want you to be this Exotico, it's called.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't always get stuck doing this fucking shit I don't want to do, man. Let me do Angry Allan Fuck, you know? He's like, well, this is what they want. And I told him you'd be good at it. So it's either this or nothing, you know? So I wrestled for them for shit, I don't know, a year or so. And then that company was about as bad as WCW was towards the end. So you knew it wasn't going to last for shit.
Yeah.
But they had some good talent there, man. And we had potential to do some good things, but they just didn't know what the fuck they were doing with it.
Who was the sort of people running it? Were they actually a mind for wrestling or like anything like that? Or were they just sort of executives thrown into that opportunity?
Well, there was a guy, his name was Steve Ship. I'm not really sure if he had money or what his deal was, but they had a guy named, was it Andrew? It was an older guy. He was like the money guy.
Yeah.
I guess he had all the money. So they ran it for him. And then there was a guy named Alex, which I think he was doing some stuff for TNA, but I don't even think he was getting paid. Yeah. I've heard he used to fly to TNA and on his own dime to try to get into the business. And he was just a big mark. But he wasn't good for the business at all. He knew how to speak fucking Spanish, and I think that's why they used him. And he thought he was something big, but neither one of them had a clue about fucking wrestling, and they just did stupid shit. And they were using the other guy's money so they didn't have to get a real job, I guess. I don't know. But it had potential to be a great company. It just never worked out because they didn't know what the hell they were doing.
Yeah.
Was your time in Lucha Libre USA, was that like the end of your wrestling career? Did you stop after that?
Yeah. I mean, I'll do independents here and there. I mean, you know, if somebody called me and wants to do an indie shot and they're going to pay me, I mean, fuck, I'll do it. I'm still in pretty good shape. So other than my knee, I have some trouble with my right knee from time to time, but I don't really do nothing crazy in the ring anymore. Shit, I'm 49 years old, man. I'm not going to be doing the shit I used to do 20 years ago.
Hey, man, if you're in good shape, why the fuck not? I mean,
shit, everybody's always telling me, this is the thing I get from people all the time. They're like, well, I don't think I told you this. I drive a semi-truck now.
No, you haven't mentioned
right.
that.
So all these guys, some of these guys are big wrestling fans. Like, oh, why don't you just go to AEW and go up there and tell them you want to fucking wrestle? I'm like, dude,
Doesn't work like that.
That ain't how it fucking works. I mean, I'm good friends with Chris Jericho, but I don't hear my phone ringing off the hook saying, "Hey, man, we want you to work for AEW." I mean, they're all big on these, like the Young Bucks and all these internet fucking guys that are big on the internet.
Yep.
It works for them. But honestly, I think I've only watched one AEW show. I'm not really impressed with it. I don't know why. I'm not impressed with WWE right now either. So.
Well, the thing for me with. Sorry, Alan. The thing with me with AEW is like, I feel like I could take a few of the guys on the roster, and I take a look at you and you flexed your bicep earlier, and I'm like, Alan looks like a fucking wrestler. You might be
exactly.
5'9", but the Bucks look like they're teenagers still who've never had a pube on their face.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. It is frustrating. In my shoes, it's real frustrating because you look better than these kids. And you can work just as good as them. But for some reason, these fucking people keep getting breaks. And it's mind-boggling to me. It's like, no matter what I did with the hard work I did, and I thought I always got along pretty well with people. I never really had heat in the business. And shit, I don't know, man. It's just one of them things. It just wasn't in my fucking deck of cards, I guess.
Yeah. It is, wrestling it's a funny business, man. And I think it makes me half glad that I didn't get involved because, there's always that thing, especially for people that have loved wrestling their whole life. They want to get into the business and they want to be the guy. And that's for everyone that gets into it. They want to be in Stone Cold Steve Austin's position. They want to be in Roman Reigns, the next John Cena, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, that's the goal, man.
And I think it's just like, when you sort of go into the wrestling business, you're sort of sacrificing. I wouldn't even say it's sacrificing, but you're kind of sacrificing your love for it because, if anything doesn't work out well for it, a lot of guys do get very bitter about it. And it makes me very glad that you aren't bitter about it and you've actually been able to take a lot of positives from the experience you've had, whether it be getting speared the fuck out of by Goldberg or even some of the ridiculous gimmicks you've had, you've been able to sort of embrace that. And I think that'd be very, very hard for a lot of guys to do, man. And
well, shit, dude, you gotta look at it this way, man. I got lucky, man. I got to be on TV. I got to meet a lot of cool fucking people. I got to travel all over the world, man. I didn't pay for shit.
Exactly.
Other than struggling in the States. But I mean, dude, I lived. I mean, basically, if you want to define success on money, I didn't make it. If you want to define success on setting out to do something and doing it, then I succeeded. You know what I mean? But I mean, monetarily, no. But I mean, unfortunately, that's how most of the society is. If you don't make it money wise, you didn't make it. But I mean, I did what I wanted to do, and I got, I'm still friends with a lot of these people today, and at the end of the day, man, I did what I wanted to do. I didn't get the chances that I thought I deserved, but who am I to say I deserved it? I mean, I worked hard and I tried to do what I could do.
Of course, man, of course. We're gonna shift from the Lucha Libre USA, going to you from sort of your departure from wrestling. Sort of when obviously you've cleared now that you haven't really said enough is enough because you're still taking indie booking here and there. How are you currently staying busy now that you aren't wrestling nowhere near as much as you used to?
Well, like I said, a lot of guys are, they're afraid to, if they're not in wrestling anymore, tell people what they're doing.
Yeah.
Because they feel like they're a failure. But I mean, I told you I did some armed security. Presently, I went and got my CDL Class A license. So I'm actually driving oversized concrete. Some of the loads I haul are 70 foot long. We build like parking decks and shit like that. So I drive a semi truck, and the money's not bad. It ain't gonna make you rich or anything, but I mean, shit, I got to do something.
Yeah,
I'm still young. I didn't make enough money in wrestling to retire. That's for damn sure.
Hey, remember you had some great experiences. You got to work alongside some fucking awesome people like Kevin Nash. I think that's the best part to take from it, man. Like, you got the awesome experience and the memories you made on the road, and it shows the awesome matches you had, dude. I think that's more valuable than the money that a lot of people are making in wrestling. That's for me personally.
Oh, I mean, money's important, but shit, I never made money in wrestling, honestly. So,
especially if you were a fan. Especially if you're a fan. Especially if you're a fan when you were younger, especially like at the Survivor Series that you mentioned at the start of the interview. I mean, being able to work like even in just the locker room with some of the guys you got to share, man. Like even that alone would just be, sort of something to look back on and just be like, fuck, like I made it that far. I think I can feel pretty good about it.
Yeah, I didn't take none of that for granted, man. I was real appreciative every chance I got, and I mean, hanging out with some of the guys I got to hang out with, and that includes, I met a lot of other people from other different, like the entertainment profession. I met a lot of actors, actresses. I met a lot of professional, sport guy, football, basketball players.
Awesome.
I got a lot of pictures, memories, and stuff that nobody can take away from me. So it was a cool experience, but shit. I mean, if there was an opportunity now, I'd probably try it again, but I just don't see it because just the way the wrestling business is now. I'm pretty sure I'm pretty much done with wrestling.
That's
I think one of the most wonderful things that I learned from this interview was the fact that that Hulk Hogan T-shirt that you caught in the crowd, it came full circle with you seeing him backstage. You're in WCW. You made it in the wrestling business. You're in one of the top companies in the world, and the guy that you caught the fucking shirt from signs it for you. That's coming full circle. That's a pretty epic moment.
That's pretty cool, man. It was pretty cool. At least I got that right.
Exactly, man. And you got it hanging right behind you right now. So I mean,
that's right, man.
Fuck, it could be so much worse, man. Like, I mean, look, none of us are Hulk Hogan. None of us are fucking, any of these guys that are making stupid amount of money for wrestling. But I mean, at the end of the day, you had the experience that none of us are gonna ever have. So fuck. Like,
well, too bad I didn't get to meet you over there when you were 12 years old, man. I would have remembered that.
That would have been great.
Was the WCW show cancelled because of the WWF buyout, Carl?
No, it was cancelled because I believe fucking ticket sales were low in Perth, and of course,
Typical
like
Perth.
my lifelong dream was to see WCW in person, and it was actually happening. I never would have thought at that time that it was actually going to fucking happen. And
So Perth's on the west side of Australia, is that right?
Yep.
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, I mean that was quite a distance from like Sydney and stuff, right?
Oh, it's 4 or 5 hour flight.
It's a long flight. Yeah, it's a pain in the ass, but
I remember a couple stories with the Funkster character. When I remember we were in Australia. You remember Crowbar from WCW?
Yep.
Yeah, we're trying to interview him actually.
Oh, really? Yeah, me and Chris are good buddies, man. I'll have to tell him to come on here with you guys. So he was over there on that Australian tour, and we used to like go to the crosswalk, and they got the green guy where it's a guy actually, and so I'd be like, I'd do in my interviews. He'd be like, "Dude, you got to do like your Hulk Hogan interview." And I'd be like, "Well, listen, brothers and sisters, train, say your prayers, and never cross on the red guy," And he'd pop on it. So I'd just do it for Chris. Nobody else knew what the hell I was talking about. He laughed about it. So then I remember I was in Yokohama, Japan. They had it. We were doing some kind of gimmick with All Japan. I was actually in my wrestling gear. I had my yellow tights on, my freaking boots, my bandana. And I'm doing the Funkster gimmick. I'm in the middle of Yokohama, like 5 o'clock in the evening. There's probably 100,000 people in the streets walking. So you come to the crosswalk. There's probably, there's 1,000 people behind you waiting to cross the damn street. So I got in front of all these people, and as soon as the light turned green, I'd be like, and I'd be in front of them leading them across the street, and people were freaking popping. It was awesome.
That's awesome. I love that. Well, have you found any other sort of passion post wrestling? Has there been anything else that sort of caught your interest that you
I kind of got into MMA a little bit, and I was actually managing a MMA fight school down here in Atlanta.
Oh, awesome.
I got to meet a lot of cool fighters and stuff, but I just never really had the time that it takes to get in there and do jiu-jitsu every day after day, because I like training in the gym. So I set aside a couple hours a day for the gym, and kind of, had put that on the back burner.
Carl, you got any?
But I love watching UFC now.
Oh. No, man, UFC is like, for me personally, it's kind of like, I think the thing with wrestling is it's the stories and everything like that for me. So when it comes, push comes to shove to watching UFC, and I was having a conversation about this with someone today, actually. And it's just like, most of the time you're watching someone, they're all the technical stuff that I just don't understand on the ground, all the wrestling on the ground and stuff. How do you like sort of find, because obviously you would have been such a big wrestling fan as a child, how would you have found like the the appeal for MMA when you're watching it in UFC and things like that, sort of compared to being such a big wrestling fan for your whole life? I'm asking this question purely out of curiosity because I've never understood it as a wrestling fan.
I love
Well,
it.
see, I mean, they're similar in a lot of ways. I mean, now you see, they're having like, what's that dude? Adesanya, he'll come out and he's got like guys dancing and shit. So they're trying to do more of a show.
Yeah.
A lot of ways it's similar. I guarantee if you were backstage at any of these shows, you'd probably see a lot of bullshit drama going on.
Oh yeah.
Which would probably be pretty close to wrestling shit. Cause I'm sure, I don't really know, but I know a guy that was fighting in Glory Kickboxing. He's a good buddy of mine, and I've heard a few stories from him. So I could imagine it's a lot like wrestling backstage, and probably even worse so because I've seen. You ever hear about the time when Scott Steiner jumped on DDP and was beating the shit out of him at his show? I was actually right there.
Fuck.
I'm sure backstage at UFC, there's probably a lot more shit that goes on back there that you probably don't know about. But yeah, I can tell you about that Steiner if you want to hear that story.
I would love to hear it.
So I think we were in Georgia somewhere. I can't remember, or maybe it was Virginia. So I remember we're in the locker room, and I remember Steiner was getting pretty heated in one locker room, and I wasn't really sure what was going on, but I could tell something was going on. So then I remember I was always pretty good friends with DDP because I used to go to Chris Canyon's house all the time, and he was over there a lot. And you remember Chris Canyon, right?
Yeah, I love him.
Who's better than Canyon? Yeah, I hung out at his house a lot, man. So Chris was a great guy. Then I hear DDP, you know, I'm like, something's going on between these two fuckers. And I know Steiner was making fun of Kimberly at one point and calling her a whore and all kinds of shit, I guess. And see, I'm good friends with Scotty too, so he gets a bad rap. He's really not that bad of a guy. People just like fucking with him. Yeah. And so I remember Steiner's in the fucking ring doing an interview, man. He's fucking saying all kinds of shit. Do you remember that interview when he's talking about Kimberly and shit? He's just boom, boom, boom. He's fucking hitting her with everything. So then DDP's back there, and I see him going, fuck this shit. I can't let this shit go on. You know, so I was at the go position in back because I'm getting ready to do whatever I was going to do. And so DDP comes up. As soon as Steiner, he's walking down the stairs. And, you know, DDP actually had a chance to fight Steiner in the locker room with only a few people in there. But you could tell he was scared shitless. He ain't going to whip Scotty's ass, and anybody in the world fucking knows that. So, and DDP's not a total fucking idiot. He is an idiot, but not a total fucking idiot. So he waits till there's, you know, 1,000 people around. He's going to confront him. So as soon as he comes down, he goes beeline right towards him. Here comes Scotty. Fucking just tackles his ass. He's on top of him, just fucking pounding him. I remember Fit Finley jumped on him because if he wouldn't have, fucking Scotty would have killed him. I mean, there ain't no doubt. And, you know, DDP's acting like a tough ass because, you know, I wasn't afraid of him, bro. You know, but if it would have just been him one-on-one and a couple other guys standing there, I'm pretty sure Scotty probably would have fucking hospitalized him.
Don't fuck with Scott Steiner, right? Fuck.
Dude, Scotty is a good guy, man. He gets a bad rep, man. I don't know what it is, but people just like fucking with him. You know, it's like that old, you know, biggest guy in the bar, you're going to fuck with him, see how bad you are, which is stupid. And that's pretty much what people do to him.
Do you think his on-screen persona might have anything to do with it? But then again, is it very similar to his real-life character, or is they very different people?
No, not at all. I mean, I hung out with Scotty in Australia. I mean, we'd go out to dinner or walk down the street and take a walk or whatever. And he's nothing like that, really. I mean, is he a badass? Fuck yeah, he was a Division I cricket college wrestler, man. He fucking pushed you up in the pretzel. But he's still afraid of Rick. Rick could still whip his ass. I'm serious. That's a shoot his paw window and say, kid.
Yeah, Carl, did you have?
Yeah, you know Scotty just had a heart attack, right?
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's not been well.
When did this happen?
I believe
he's not doing. He was down here in Atlanta doing a TNA reunion show. I thought you know who Chase Stevens is?
Yeah.
Well, Chase Stevens sent me a text going, dude, you got to come down here. They're doing a TNA reunion, which I didn't really know anything about it. So I almost went down there, but then he texted me. He's like, dude, Scotty Steiner actually died, and they brought him back to life. I was like, holy shit.
Fucking hell.
So I text Scotty. I knew he wasn't going to text me back because he was in the hospital, but he actually texted me back when he got home a couple weeks later. So he told me thanks for checking on him, and, you know, he's doing okay. But from what I hear, he's pretty not mentally unstable, but I guess mentally it's really fucking with him because, you know, I mean, shit, you think you're indestructible, and then you get old, you know what I mean?
Fucking hell. Of all people,
I heard he's not doing too great, but I guess he's doing okay.
Oh,
Well, I think I just saw the other day that he actually worked a match with Rick in a 6-man tag match with Dory Funk Jr. for one of Dory's shows.
Oh, really? Yeah, I don't know about that, but
Not
shit,
much
I
happened
can't.
though. I just watched the match. Not much happened. It was Dory
Now,
can't
he had.
do
Is
much
that
these
the?
days.
I seen a picture of him with a T-shirt on. Is that? Did he have a T-shirt on? And he didn't look
Yeah.
that good.
Yeah,
But I mean, come on, man. The guy had a heart attack.
yeah.
absolutely.
I mean, and he's not 20 years old anymore. Fuck. I mean, I remember him wrestling when I was a kid.
And he still fulfilled his booking, even though what's just happened. So,
Well, I mean, and that shows you what kind of guy Scotty is, man. He's not an asshole.
Yeah.
I've worked with him several times, and I actually was going to book a show down here in Atlanta a few years ago, and I called Scotty up and asked him to be part of it. He said, "Yeah, man." So, I met him, give him his check that he wants for, he always, guys like Scotty. I don't do it so much because I don't get near the money he makes for an appearance, but I give him like $2,000 to book him for the show.
I think Scotty will probably wrestle until he's dead.
Well, he probably will. I mean, hell, back in even before I got in WCW in '98, they told him, fuck, he should never wrestle again back then.
yeah, I remember that.
Fucking hell. What happened there?
Scotty has drop foot. His foot would just hang because his nerves and shit. Like they used to pull his foot back and tape it up in the locker room, and then they put his boot on and then pull it back and tape it up just so his foot wouldn't fucking hang.
Fucking hell.
And that was back in '98, '99,
And he's still going.
Yeah, dude, he's one of the toughest motherfuckers you ever meet, though. I can tell you that much.
Is he doing that before every match still to this day?
Yeah, I'm
would
sure.
say so.
I mean, his nerves ain't gotten any better. Yeah.
Fucking hell.
That's why he started wearing long pants and stuff, because he really couldn't train legs because his nerves and shit.
Right, that makes
But
so
you know
much
how
sense.
brutal fans and people are, the media and stuff. They're like, oh, look at Scott Steiner. He used to be fucking Adonis. Now he looks like a piece of shit.
Yeah.
They forget to tell you it was fucking 20-year difference. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, yeah.
And it's
Is it time for 5-second frenzy, Jack?
yeah, man. Fucking whenever you're ready, eh?
Okay, so we're starting off with favorite match that you've had.
I'd probably say Jason Jett agreed that last pay-per-view, just because it was the last pay-per-view and it was actually a pretty damn good match.
Awesome.
Excellent. Favorite opponent.
Well, I definitely have to say Muda, because wrestling Muda in Japan was freaking, that was crazy, man. It was incredible.
Awesome.
Favorite musical artist.
Between Metallica and Def Leppard.
Oh fuck yeah, dude! That's my jam.
Who's that? Metallica?
Both of them. Like just any hair metal or heavy metal. That's my thing.
Yeah, fucking Metallica. You ever heard of Manowar?
Yes.
Dude, Manowar is one of my favorite too. That guy's voice is fucking insane, isn't it?
Yeah, unbelievable. Favorite TV
Usually
show.
the people who know Manowar is over in like fucking Europe. They're big over there in like Germany. And
Huge, yeah.
Finland.
No, I interviewed their guitarist for a music magazine last year. Well, the guitarist that they had back in the day in the 80s.
Shit, I'd have marked out to that, dude. I love Manowar.
He was great. We talked for 20 minutes straight, and we were both drinking beer. And yeah, no, he sounded like a great
Sweet.
guy.
That'd be awesome.
Favorite TV show
Now or ever?
ever?
Probably the A-Team.
Awesome. Favorite film?
It used to be The Breakfast Club. I would say now A Million Ways to Die in the West. Or let's see. You ever seen that movie?
Yeah.
I like a lot of movies, man, but I love stupid comedies like that. That Seth MacFarlane dude, that movie's fucking ridiculous. And Charlize Theron looks so hot.
Oh God, dude, don't get me started. Favorite alcoholic beverage?
Michelob Ultra or Coors Light. I know that's probably weak to you guys, but that's all I got over here.
That's cool. I like a bit of Coors.
Actually, I'll say Kettle One vodka. How's that?
Okay. Favorite female body part?
Ass.
Sick.
All right,
sure.
the Godfather said titties, and you're saying ass. Okay, so we're getting a bit of
You can't do nothing with
variety.
titties. What the hell you need
I'm an
titties
ass
for?
man as well, driver. I'll back you on that.
Dude, ass all day long, man. Shit.
That's it.
And finally, your favorite curse word?
I hate to admit it, but it's probably fuck.
Sick. Amazing.
See, I'm not like you, Australia. Isn't it wanker a cuss word?
I think in Australia the favorite swear word is cunt. So
Yeah, well, I like that word too.
Yeah.
in other countries
I
it's
really
really
would
bad,
like to
but
stop swearing, but it's so hard, isn't it?
It's so hard.
yeah.
Come to Australia and it's part of culture. Like, it's insane. Like, cunt is so
Yeah,
acceptable.
Like-
I noticed that. You know, when I was over in Australia the last time when I was with WWA, man, I met these two cool guys. I actually met this woman in one of the hotels, and I think we were in Perth, and she was a stewardess. So she goes, man, my husband's a great wrestling fan. So they said, we're from Melbourne. So when we flew to Melbourne, I said, we're staying at this hotel. Have your husbands come down here and meet me. So actually, I had their number. She gave me their home phone number. So I called them, and they come to the arena, man. They took me out to dinner. We went to strip clubs and hung out. And they were cool dudes. They bought me this. I remember they bought me the shot glass. It had a weight and then an anchor, so it said wanker or something like that on it. I still got it. So they that was their big word, wanker, you know.
Yeah, wankers.
And then they
Wankers
bought me a
definitely
red
good.
Australian rules football, and I still have that too.
Oh,
So
cool.
it was cool, man. The Australian fans were awesome over there.
Have you ever watched Australian rules football?
I do. You know, I have one of those Android boxes where you can get all these damn channels on it, so I'll watch a bunch of shit like that. I love that shit. I actually, if I would back in the day, I would have loved to play some of that shit.
I played Australian rules football for 9 years as a child, so man, it was some of the best fun ever.
Now, is that the one where they huddle up and they keep passing the ball and they try to tackle the guys?
Oh no, that's rugby.
This one is
Now,
like,
see, I like that. No, I'm sorry, I'm so stupid. So,
No.
so explain to me the Australian, or what did you play?
Australian rules football. So that red ball they would have given you is the game we played. So that game in Melbourne is very, like, that game was created in Melbourne pretty much.
Okay.
And you could go watch highlights of it. It's essentially gridiron, no pads on an oval instead of
Yeah. See, now I'd get into that shit too.
It's fucking incredible, man. And the league restarts in 2 weeks. So
Is that the one where the referee goes?
yep, that's the one. That's
Yes,
it.
that's it.
Yeah.
All right, yeah, I know what you're
Yeah,
saying.
that's the one, man. Like, in my opinion, like my two loves in my life are footy and wrestling. Like, footy being
I
Australian.
tell you what,
wrestling.
that sport over there is huge, man. Like the top guy over there is like fucking moved in Japan, right?
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
We actually have an American over here in the league, and he's essentially the American representative. He's the only American to ever play the game at a professional level, let alone get paid for it. So I mean,
See, if I'd have known that, I might have done that when I was a kid. Try to become.
I think that's only going to open more avenues for a lot of other internationals and foreigners and stuff to come to Australia to play our game. But hey, let's see what happens over the next 30 years with that sort of stuff. But no, man, I'd absolutely love tonight's interview, man. You've honestly you shared some fucking incredible stories. I really enjoyed your time tonight, man. I can't appreciate it enough. So thank you a lot for that.
That's cool, man. I appreciate you guys too, man.
Kyle, is there anything else you wanted to go over with Allan?
The only thing I want to say, Alan, is this was such great fun. And I know before we went on the air, you said that you didn't think anyone would remember you. Well, we remember you. And that's why we
cool, man.
wanted
That's all I
you
can
on
ask
this
for,
thing,
man.
man. And, maybe in your career, things didn't work out the way that you had hoped. But as far as I'm concerned, you're a bigger star than anyone that was ever on this AEW roster. So aside from Jericho, of course, but I think
Chris is a cool guy.
you should look back and be very proud of what you accomplished in the wrestling business.
Definitely.
And
I appreciate that, man. I am. I mean, I did some things other people can't say they did. So
That's right. man.
absolutely. And I just want to thank you again for talking with us tonight. We've had a ball.
Well, that's cool, guy. You guys ever want me on again? Let me know, man.
100%,
Maybe
man.
I can get Chris to do a three or we'll both be on here. Me and Crowbar.
Dude, that's 100%.
That'd be great.
100%. Let's plan something like
I love
that.
doing shit like this, man. I like sharing stories and reminiscing.
For sure, man. We'll
Cool.
100% get you back on here. Possibly with Chris Crowbar. We'll definitely sort something, man. We'll keep in touch on Instagram, like as we had been the last few months. It has been, so we'll keep in touch. Sort something out, awesome out.
That's cool. I appreciate you guys, man. Thanks for having me on.
Awesome, man. Thanks a lot.